Welcome to the live stream Neto experience. Boom, 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 boom. What are we getting into right now? The hustle, the daily grind, what it takes to go from nothing to something. Okay, let's get straight into the dome. So basically, right now, we got the book and we got the box. Okay, the book and the box. Very significant, you know what I'm saying? Always carry a book, always carry a box. Always carry something to educate your mind, and always carry something to sell, and it don't have to be illegal. You can create art, you can create, scribble on a paper and sell it. You know what I'm saying? You can create, t-shirts, you can create all kind of stuff in today's age. And so what I'm saying is let's get into the grind. I'm not trying to take up too much time. 1 minute in, let's get hitting up some DMs. I'm doing a DM approach. The DM approach is going crazy right now. Going crazy. If you have a phone, you can literally make money from anywhere in the world, and I'm living proof of that. Like in San Antonio, making bread, in Chicago, making bread, Hawaii making bread, New York making bread, Cali making bread, like Florida making bread, like. In this day and age, you can literally use digital products, AI, to make a living. And I just want to educate and grow a community of entrepreneurs, like-minded business people. And so I was listening to my headphones. My phone's on low battery, so I'm going to charge it. And I'm like, you know what? What's better than 1 millionaire 2? Join the community so we can all get rich together. But in the meantime, I'm finna put on my little YouTube so y'all can jam out with me. For real. And we can just, all get rich. So if you're working, you can listen to this little tape and kind of just get paid. All that cool stuff. Damn, pump. We've been getting consistent sales off of shooting the text. So I'm gonna be sending a lot of texts and begin some stuff locked in. So here, just listen.
They know how to drive that behind closer that nobody sees, that the average person cannot do because they're just happy with the system they have.
Let's run this back.
I often get asked the question, Patrick, what can I do to scale my business? And normally the first thing I'll ask them is, what does scalability even mean to you? Meaning, what does it mean to scale your business? Well, I think scalability is for my business to grow faster, or for my business to do this, and I tell them, to me, scalability is for your business to have a life of its own, where it grows with or without you exponentially. To me, exponentially is double. Minimum is a double. So if you go from $100,000 your income to 120 to 140 to 180 to 260, that's not exponentially. Exponentially is 100, 240, 700, 1.8 million, 4.2 million. That's scalability. And there's a formula for it that you got to keep asking yourself what you can do to scale your business. I'm going to talk about that today. So first things first. There is a predictable side of the business that's very important to be working on, that gives you the opportunity to scale, right? A lot of times entrepreneurs will say, well, I want to start scaling my business right off the bat. And they put so much time and emphasis on scalability. Business goes out. It goes out of business because they ran out of funds. They don't have money anymore. And they don't even have the opportunity to scale the business. Before scalability comes, you may put 5 to 10% of your mind thinking about how to scale. But you got to put 90% of your effort in producing a predictable stream of income, even if it's $10, $20, $30, $40,000. That's bringing in for you to survive and not have to worry about expenses. To ask yourself, how can I scale? So you're working in the business, making sales, growing it, making money, having some support, having some help in the business, scaling the business is what you're thinking about. So how do we do that? Let's talk about that. People will often tell me, and say, Pat, listen. The reason why our business is going to explode is because we have the most incredible product in the world. We have the most incredible product in the world. Our product is going to blow up. Look.
Hold on, chat. I gotta check the stream. Is it right or it's not right?
Rule number one of products. The best products don't always win. They're don't always win. There's a lot of books I read, and in some books I read, and I'll say this was an incredible book, but it did terrible because it wasn't a good scalable marketing plan in place. And there's some books I just read a book, new book that just came out.
Bro, this is
And it's one of the books Inc. magazine recommended as the best books. I read, I said, I didn't learn anything from this book. It's something that's been refurbished from 20 blogs that he put it into one book, but because he has a platform, it made the book do very well. So his product looks better than somebody else who may have had a great product but terrible scalability. So product doesn't necessarily take you to the next level. The second thing is personality. There's a lot of people that's based on their personality, their businesses based on their personality. Just think about it this way, very simple. If you die or if you don't exist, what happens to your business? If you die, the business dies. If a business is 100% predicated on your personality, that is not a scalable business. And two, if it is, you're not going to have a life. The more the business grows, the more it's going to suck you in because it's 100% predicated on your personality. What allows you to scale, is if a business is built on a system. The foundation has got to be a system. A system that produces results with the product that you have, not based on your personality. This needs to be number 3. If this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. A great system you put in place with a good product and a decent personality will do 10 times better than a great product, a good personality, a decent system. It's not going to scale. You can still make good money with great product, but if you don't have a system, you're not going to scale it. You got to make sure your system is driving your business. So systems could be, a step 1, 2, 3. Somebody comes in, first they see this, then it goes to this, then it goes to this, and they buy. And if they buy, then they have the option to upgrade, they have the option to upsell, they have the option to do this. But this is a streamlined system that takes your business to the next level. Now, what you need with a great system, here's what you do need with a great system. Popovich has a system, but Popovich drives the system. So you'll see some people that have the same system as somebody else in another business, but they don't scale the business because they're not a driver. They're thinking the system's going to scale their business on its own. It's not going to happen. There always needs to be a driver. The triangle offense that Phil Jackson ran with the Lakers and the Bulls only worked because he drove it. Okay? Popovich works because he drives it. The New England Patriots keep winning because he has a system that works, but he is the driver. He doesn't have a personality. Belichick is not a personality guy. His product is football. His product is athletes.
Hold on, chat. Let's make a phone call.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
Hello, Mr. Lee?
Yeah. What's up?
What's up, man? It's Ernest. I'm just reaching out because I wanted to tap in with you real quick. I saw that you were interested in getting a box. I wanted to make sure that I can get it shipped out. I'm actually gonna head to the post office and can get it shipped out today. This one's different. This one's a 4K box.
I got a box. I already have one.
That's the best thing about it. I'm also going to send you the login details so you can stream on an existing device and the new box with the upgraded kind of movie app. And it also has the extra servers on there.
But you sure we don't have to come in before I had to keep paying?
No, that's why I switched up to the lifetime to keep it perpetual for everybody joining to help maintain the server.
Okay.
What's the... Go ahead. I was going to say...
No?
Yeah, the shipping address.
Yeah. 3917.
63917.
So 3917 3917.
Okay.
Bella Vista Loop.
Okay. And Mankato, Amen, Minnesota.
Let me take it to one.
Okay. Oh, and can you text me your email address too?
Yeah, and send me the information again. I'm gonna look at it. I'm sending. I'm texting right now. I got you.
Okay.
I think I have a different number for you before. But you in San Antonio?
I'm actually out here in Chicago. Moved out to Chicago about like last year.
Okay, cool.
But for the payment, you have like Zelle.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Send me your bill, please.
I'm gonna send the request right now.
Like I said, I'm gonna send me the link to explain it again, and I'm gonna look at it because I got something else right now, something a little different.
Okay.
But I still have the old box, so I'm gonna look at what I got and see when it ends. You say you need my email address?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to, I mean, the email address would be cool. I can also try to send you an email, but yeah, I feel like the best thing we could do to kind of get it shipped out today. I mean, would you be interested in getting it shipped out today?
Well, I want to look at it again because I remember I used it before, so I want to look at it. Send me do you still have your link, your website?
I do, yes. Kind of just got that back up and running, working on getting more details on there. There is a live video that kind of shows it.
Send me that.
Just did.
Yeah, send me that when you get a chance.
Okay, perfect. I'll send that over to you and follow up with you soon.
Like I said, I'm in the middle of work right now, but I saved your number again. You said Ernest, right?
Yes, sir.
I just put Ernest TV Wilson, but I saved your email and I sent you my info. But I'll look at it. I remember I used it for a good while. But yeah, let me like I said, let me check out the video and I'll let you know today.
Okay, talk to you soon. Take care.
All right, thank you, bro.
Still sending that request. Let's get back to it. I just wanted to follow up with you. That's it. Following up. Tapping in, following up. You know, building the sales pipeline, man. You know, you finna fall down. All right. You finna fall down. We just gotta, work the process. Drive the business.
He knows how to pick good products, but he doesn't necessarily have the best talent all the time. But he knows how to drive it. He knows how to drive it on what he does. So you got to keep in mind. Your system asks yourself, how well is your system? How much your business is based on the system, and how well you drive it. You'll normally see one of these twos has a flaw, or you're relying way too much on becoming an expert in products and way too much on how great of a personality you have. These two have a short lifespan. This is the only thing that can have a life of its own. If there's a driver, and by the way, the driver, you don't have to have the most flamboyant personality to be a great driver. You actually don't. Popovich is not the most flamboyant personality. Phil Jackson is not the most flamboyant personality. Belichick is not the most flamboyant personality. There's a lot more coaches with flamboyant personalities, but they're not as good as drivers. Drivers do things that you and I never see. Drivers do things that happens right here behind the desk, right there at a conference table, right here where a meeting happens, that they know how to drive a vendor, they know how to drive a partner, an employee, an executive, a team member, a client. They know how to drive that behind closer that nobody sees, that the average person cannot do because they're just happy with the system they have in place. Now, there's still one more message here on how to scale your business. There's 5 more steps on scaling your business, and I'm going to leave the last one because I'll tell you the last one what it is. But I want to make sure you get it at the end. 5 steps to scale. 1, thinking big. It's very simple, but very few people do it. It doesn't take much, believe it or not, to fill somebody's appetite. It really doesn't. Very few people think big continuously. Now think about it. Somebody may say, well, I'm a bigger thinker than my friends. I get it. But being a bigger thinker than your friends doesn't mean you're a big thinker. You're a small thinker amongst great thinkers, right? So if you always compare yourself to your friend, I'm a bigger thinker than my sister, my brother, my cousin, my nephew, my niece, you're probably going to be a cool big thinker amongst your friends because you make $280 a year or whatever your business is doing. All respect to you, whatever level you're at with your business. If you're happy with it, that's fine. But to have it scale and have a life of its own, you're not watching this video to find out how to get your business from 240 to 280. the purpose of this video. There's plenty of videos on YouTube to show you how to do that. There's plenty of articles to read. This is about scaling your business. And if you're not refusing to think big, don't count on it being scaled. It's not going to happen, right? There needs to be a big thinker behind it. Apple happened because there was a product expert called Wozniak that I had a chance of interviewing. But behind it, there was a driver called Jobs who drove it because he was a big thinker. Amazon has a big thinker. Anything you think about that scales, there's typically a big thinker there too. Don't celebrate. The celebration lifespan sometimes is too long. People get one victory, one vendor. Oh my God, we got this big client that's going to give us $600,000 of business per year. This is so exciting. Let's go to the bar today. Hey, our game is on me. Let's go to the Lakers game. Let's go to the Knicks game. It's on me. Let's go to watch the Warriors play. Let's go. Hey, beer tonight, drinks. Way too much celebration. A big thinker doesn't necessarily celebrate a big vendor coming on board because they're expecting that to happen because they're thinking big. A small thinker's lifespan of celebration is way too long. That's why they rarely scale, because the moment they make $50,000 a month, and in their mind they're getting paid way more than what they're worth, because their entire goal is tied to money. Because they get to that point, they don't experience what it is to explode and scale. They stay there too long. 3 is in on. You got to spend time working on your business, but knowing when. There's a certain timing here. So if this is a pendulum, if this is a pendulum, this is in, this is on. You spend the majority of your time working in your business, and then gradually within 6, 12, 24, 18, whatever months, then you're spending more time on, and then eventually you're working more on your business than you are in your business. But you got to time this well. Sometimes people go on too early. And sometimes people never lean in because they're controlled and they want to micromanage everything, and they never experience scalability. So this is a timing factor that you have to deal with. And then it's the highest return. You gotta, a lot of times, as a CEO, I run a firm, and I run a financial firm, PHP agency, and I'm running a firm, and we'll have a problem that'll come up. We have a challenge that we have with anything. There could be many different platforms that we have challenged. And we'll have a meeting, and I'll say, okay, how can we solve this problem? And we'll make a list. We'll process this together. We'll make a list, and we'll say, if we do this, we can do this. If we do this, we can do this. Perfect. That solves the problem, right? Yes, but it's not the optimal solution. It's a solution. It's not the optimal solution. I'm looking for the optimal solution. The optimal solution is what is going to be able to put us in a position to not have to face this issue again 6 months from now, or are we simply putting a Band-Aid on this problem that we have to face 7 months later? And why are we doing that? A lot of times when you're a leader of a business, the entrepreneur, you'll face an issue. I see too often trying to build a business with Band-Aids than actually sitting down and saying, what can I do for this pain to go away? That's what I'm looking for, because I don't want to have more issues coming out later on that we're looking at having to overcome 6, 7, 8 months later. No. Optimal solution. So if I can invest money back into my business, and I sit there and we're having a meeting, we have $300,000 put back into the business. Great. I think we should do it here. We should do it here. Let's hire 3 more people and pop. That's what we need to be doing. Excellent. Let's do that. Awesome. Great job, guys. No. What can we do to get the highest possible return? That's the optimal solution to scale the business to the next level, and not just throw money away at something that will give us 6% return. Why don't we spend another hour in the meeting and try to find out what's going to give us 13% return, and let's sleep on it and find out tomorrow what we can get a 19% return, and maybe we find out we can do 29% return if we do this. Optimal solution, scalability. And the last one I left blank because the last one is an art. The last one is an art. The last one is an art that it takes a while to learn, and you're continuously going to learn this. And if the last one is something that you don't touch, if the last one is something that you don't embrace, you're lowering the chances of you being able to scale. It can still scale, but the last one is going to give you the highest level of scalability, and that is leverage. Leverage. So how do you leverage? Look, knowing you don't have all the answers, and you bring somebody in who's the opposing strength of you. If you're a pure, profit visionary type of a CEO and you're terrible with operations, don't try to be operations. You got to leverage somebody with operations to help you with the systems to increase the speed. If you're an operations type of person and you're not a great driver, you're just purely operations, and your driving skills are not good, you need to bring a driver to be able to drive the company. Don't try to be a CEO known behind closed doors. You are an operation guy. You keep only thinking about that, and no wonder there's not somebody driving a business. Maybe you're a good CFO and you need help with an operations or a CEO person. All you care about is money. You're always worried about we can't spend money on that, we can't spend money. And because of how cheap you are, you don't know how to leverage somebody else to tell you, we need to invest into this, we need to buy this software, we need to go and do it, we need to invest into marketing. You're not going to scale. With leverage is partnerships, right vendors, a partner that's going to come that you may have to give something in return to be able to scale the business with. That's all leverage. So what can you do to leverage time? What can you do to leverage your business? What can you do to leverage your vendors? What can you do to leverage your partners? What can you do to leverage the executive team around you? What can you do to leverage your team? Consultants. What can you do to leverage someone that's going to help you scale the business? Not somebody who's just throwing money away either. You don't hire aggressively all the time. You're hiring very slow. You're firing very fast. But all you're thinking about is what position can I put myself into to help me leverage the business, to scale it to a whole different level that I possibly couldn't do by myself. And if you do those things, it's not just a one area. You got to go back and watch this video one more time and ask yourself, am I spending more time on predictable side or scalable side? Am I more a product person? Am I more personality? Do I drive my business based on system? What am I most of the time working on this? And then ask yourself these 5 areas how well you are. And then slowly but surely ask yourself what phase of this business you are. And start asking yourself, I want to scale. How do I scale? How do I do this? How do I do that? And slowly but surely you'll get better at that. And then all of a sudden, you have a double. It's got to be minimum of a double. That's scaling your business when you start having some doubles and measurable numbers. And you're looking at that as doubling. That's scalability. That's my message to you about scaling. If you got any questions about it, comment on the bottom. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so as well. Thanks for watching. My career as an entrepreneur started at 10 years old. 10 years old in Germany, when I had the desire, I wanted to buy this new Super Nintendo that was coming out. We're living in a refugee camp. My mother doesn't have any money. My father, parents go through a divorce. We have no money to buy the Super Nintendo, but I really want it, right? So I go to the local pool. They had this beautiful pool in Erlangen, Germany. Phenomenal pool in Erlangen, Germany. And I go over there, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make 249 marks to buy the Super Nintendo, right? So I go to the pool, and I go to the owner, and I said, look, I noticed everywhere I look at, there's beers everywhere. I said, look, what do you do with all these beers all over the place? He says, well, I have to hire somebody to go and clean up how much you pay me. I'm 10 years old. So I told him, I said, how much will you give me if I clean up every single one of them? How much will you give me per each that I bring to you? He said, 5 pfennig per beer bottle. 5 pfennig is like 5 pennies per beer bottle. Well, I did the math, and I said, how much do I need? I need around 5,000 pfennig, which means 1,000 beer bottles to me, roughly, equals me getting myself, this, what do you call it? This Super Nintendo that I want to buy. So whatever the number was, I think it was 2,500 beer bottles. Yeah, 5,000 beer bottles that I collect gets me this Super Nintendo that I want to buy. He said, sure. Well, I started doing it. I would come through, collect them, put it over here. Boom. 6 marks in one day. 8 marks in one day. 12 marks in one day. 10 marks in one day. Next thing you know, the entire pool knew me as the 10-year-old skinny Middle Eastern kid that collects beer bottles. And everyone would say, hey, Patrick, he gets. And I started. They thought I was an employee at 10 years old. And eventually I made my 300 marks, and I went to Kaufhof, and I bought my Super Nintendo. So how are you taken serious as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur? Well, first things first. If you come to me as a young entrepreneur, you find a solution to a problem, I'm interested. Okay, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you find me a solution to a problem, I'm interested. Solution to a problem. Number 2, no more than anybody else does. Listen. Look at Kobe Bryant as an entrepreneur. Okay? Kobe Bryant as an entrepreneur. He is a basketball player. His product is him. He plays basketball. He gets paid a $100 million contract at 20 years old, at 18 years old. $3 million contract, $10 million, whatever the number is. Why? Because he knows more about the game than everybody else his age. So people pay for him. In your business, if you're real estate, insurance, financial services, technology, so whatever it is, no more than anybody else in your marketplace, because you absolutely immerse yourself into the subject that you're selling, and no more than anybody else, everybody listens to you. It doesn't matter how old you are, because you know a lot about that specific subject. Next point. Start at the bottom and get dirty. Look, there's a certain thing that if you want to be taken serious, I like back in the days when people worked for a company, everybody started off selling and then they came to the top, right? And everybody kind of know how to sell, because then you know how to connect with every single position where someone says, well, you don't know what it is to be a salesman. What are you talking about? I sold for 7 years. Well, you don't know what it is to do this. What are you talking about? I came from the bottom to the top. There is something special about a person, a young entrepreneur willing to get their hands dirty and learning. When I started working at one of the jobs, it was at Valley Total Fitness, and they sent me to sell memberships at a mall in Fox Hills Mall, Culver City. And I went out there and I'm selling memberships to people in the mall that are walking by 36-month contract. Well, I got my hands dirty, came up, I became rookie of the year, we won Triple Crown, got a big club, became a manager.
Bow. That's that booty meat, gang. That's that booty meat. That's that motherfucker bird. Put some respect on my motherfucking top beats. You know what it is, man. Put some respect on my name, ho. Put some respect on my name. Put some respect on bar baby. Hey, bar baby. Yo, we in this zone. No, we didn't just come up on a motherfucking block. Oh shit. Ooh. Crypto. In that crypto. All right, stop playing. Take that shit serious right now. Let's send this boy to login. Fuck all that other shit. I'm gonna let y'all know you can make money online anytime, anywhere. Me, I like doing it from the comfort of my own home. I'm gonna be real with you. Working on account now. Send this dude a login. Let's send this dude a login, man. Back to biz. We hit a little play. Keep going. Hunger. I get crazy in here. All right, let's cut it out and get back to biz.
Stuff started happening for me. I took that same principle everywhere. So be willing to start at the bottom and work your way up. Next one. Have a good reputation. Have a good reputation. What do I mean by that? Nowadays on Facebook, if you have a Facebook picture with a beer bong, no one's going to take you serious. The other day, somebody sent me a message. Literally, I wish I could show this picture to you. Send me a message. Hey, I'd like to work for you. Okay? I'd like to work for you. Great. We're always looking for people to hire. I like to work for you. I'll travel from New York and I'll come and work for you for free for 6 months. I just want to learn from you. I looked at his profile picture. Him sleeping with his head on his knocked out. You're marketing yourself as somebody lazy. Have a good reputation. People nowadays that do business with you, they look at your LinkedIn, they look at your Facebook, they look at your Twitter, they look at everything about you. You got to have a clean reputation if you want to be taken serious as an entrepreneur. Because other people, how are other people going to say things about you? If I call somebody you've done business with, and if you don't give me references, that's a red flag right off the bat. If I hire somebody that wants to do business with me, or they want to sell me the product and service, and they're not willing to give me reference to call on somebody, I don't necessarily take you that serious, because there's probably a reason why you are not willing to give me any kind of a reference. Next, make money. if you're 19 years old and you're making 130 per year, people automatically want to know how you're making 130 per year. Period. If you're 21 years old, making 290 per year, people want to listen to you. Now someone will say, 290 per year, who makes that kind of money? Many young entrepreneurs. How can they make that kind of money? They outwork you, they know more, they want more, they're more competitive than you. Simple as that. Well, that's not fair, Patrick. It's not all about hard work. It has a lot to do with hard work, research, diligence, immerse, but making more money gets other people to take you serious when you yourself are making more money. Next one. Have a real opinion backed up by some fact. So if I'm having a conversation, I sat down with a kid the other day. I call him a kid, but he's not a kid. 22-year-old kid that comes to my office and he's sitting there wanting to sell me commercial real estate. You may be watching this if it's you. And he starts talking to me, and I said, "You're very comfortable in your own skin. Tell me a little bit about your parents." And he starts talking about his mom. And I said, "Tell me about your father." And he talks about his father. And I said, "You're in commercial real estate." I am. I said, "I want to know what are some things your father taught you." My dad taught me about hard work, and from being born to 12, I was my mama's boy. From 12 on, I was just so curious. I wanted to be around my dad because I wanted to learn from my dad, etc., etc. And I said, "What'd you learn from sales? I'm going to do commercial real estate." So from talking to him, and I asked him opinions about capitalism, and I asked him opinions about economics. He had an opinion. And I sat there and I said, he's a 21, 22-year-old kid. I would do business with him. He reminds me of me when I was first getting started, and I have an opinion about something that's validated by facts, not just some general thing. I have an opinion because I watched something on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox. A real sense of opinion. People respect when someone has a real opinion about certain facts. Next one, ask for responsibility. I just love when people ask for responsibility. You work at a place, say, "What do you want me to do? What do you need from me? Tell me, how can I help you?" I was working with this lady she was my superior, she was my manager, my boss for 7 years. And every time I would work, I would say, "Hey, is there anything I can help you with? What else do you need help on? How can I help you? How can I do anything? What can I do with you? So what can I do with this?" It was always, "I want more responsibility. I want more responsibility. What kind of responsibility can you give me? I want more because that puts me in positions. The more responsibilities I take and the more I'm delivering on my responsibility. It's not just taking it and not delivering. It's delivering on the responsibilities you take, then people start taking you more serious on who you are. Next, deliver and keep your word. Look, I cannot tell you how much value there is. We give a lot of credit to people that have great credit scores. 800 credit scores. We'll give you $1 million loan here to go buy a house. We'll give you a $70,000 loan here to go buy that car. As important as your FICO score is, there's a credit score I pay attention to more than your FICO score. I got some people that are working here with me as my team or leaders I'm mentoring, and I ask them for something. What can I count on you? I can do X, Y, Z. They don't do it. I don't value their word because their credit score with their word is not that high with me. So whatever they say the next time, I take 50% of it because I don't trust their word anymore. So here's a CEO entrepreneur that no longer trusts the word of somebody that says what they're going to do. If you want to be taken serious as a young entrepreneur, make commitments, keep commitments. Let your word be so powerful that even though you're 19 years old, I know you're going to deliver when I give you a challenge on something to do. Next, dress sharp. A lot of times nowadays, Steve Jobs didn't dress sharp and Mark Zuckerberg didn't dress sharp, et cetera. Fine. If you're producing software and you're behind the scenes and nobody sees you, you don't have to be dressed sharp. I get it. But if you come and meet with somebody else, it generally helps to be dressed sharp than somebody that's not dressed sharp. You got to know how to put it together yourself with clothes. It doesn't cost a lot of money nowadays to put it together. I remember when I first got started, my goodness, I bought so much stuff from Goodwill. And Goodwill is secondhand suits and jackets. I don't come from a family of money. So it was Goodwill. It was DSW shoes on sale. It was $9 ties from Ross. It was three $9 white shirts from Ross. And it was a jacket that was ripped here. I couldn't go like this because people could tell it was a whole thing ripped. I couldn't pay the guy $60 to fix both sides. Ripped like this. High waters because the jacket was smaller and I'm 6'5". And everybody would see this. I had to talk like this. But I made sure I got that because I wanted to make sure people took me serious as a 21, 22-year-old entrepreneur. Next one, listen to people who have had success that are giving you feedback. Listen to them. Listen to what they're telling you. Take counsel from people that have what you don't have. Lifestyle. Listen to it. People realize there's a certain level of wisdom that a young person has who is willing to listen to counsel from somebody that has already been someplace they haven't been. I'm not talking about taking everyone's advice. If someone's been married 30 plus years and has 3 good kids and they themselves performed at a high level in their personal life and they became very successful, so they have good marriage, good kids, good family life, good financial life, successful life, you probably want to take some counsel from them. If somebody's in a business that you're a part of and they've made certain income and they've done it at a level the proper way and you can learn from them, listen, it's probably good counsel you want to take from them. 11. Be the first to show up last to leave. Quite frankly, if you don't have any kids, you're an 18-year-old kid. You're 19 years old. You're 20 years old.
Stay
What else
locked
do you have
in.
to do?
Watch.
Going up early and leaving late. What are you going to do? Go home and do what? Go to a party, go to a club, go smoke hookah? For what? You want to just be a small-time person, or you want to be somebody that's going to perform? If you want to be someone that's going to perform at a high level, show up very early, stay very late. Let people know you're out there hustling because you're the first to arrive, last to leave. Act years above, beyond your years, meaning act beyond your years. What do I mean by that? You know, think about if you're 21, how does a 31-year-old act like? Who's already where you want to be? Walk, talk, think like that person. How does that person that's already there you want to be? So I would sit there and I would say, okay, Pat, you're 22 years old right now, yes. How is a 30-year-old version of Patrick Bay David going to be? And I would walk like that Patrick Bay David. I would want to think like that Patrick Bay David. How would he speak? How would he talk? How would he do this? How would he close? How would he be? How nervous would he be? And I would try to put myself as an 8-year-old advanced Patrick Bet David, and then perform and come from that place yourself. Next, surround yourself with people that are way ahead of you. That's pretty simple. Listen, I've always had people that are much smarter than me, much wiser than me, you know, better lifestyle than me, way ahead of me in life. They're giving me counsel, people that are absolutely way, way, way ahead of me in any area of my life that I specifically want, because I learn from them and they push me and they challenge me to constantly get better. Another one is avoid drugs. It's pretty simple. I am definitely not a fan of drugs. I know there's a lot of things people read where this person said LSD and that person said, you know, this drug and that person said this. You know, whoever that person is that said it, they have no clue what the hell they're talking about. I'm not a fan of drugs. I've seen too many of my good friends. I had one very, very good friend who was sharper than any one of us. He started off with pot, then he went on Special K, LSD, Coke, you know, heroin, you go every single thing, Vicodin, Xanax, everything, and eventually it's the pills that ends up killing you. One of the hardest drugs to get off of nowadays isn't heroin, it's Vicodin, it's Xanax, it's those pills that put you to sleep and you don't feel anything. So I just don't recommend any drugs. I hired a person one time that worked for me, and she came to work the first day. The second time she came to work, I pulled her aside and I said, hey, are you okay? And she said, what do you mean? I said, just look at me in my eyes. Are you okay? And I've been around drugs. You know, people have had problems with that. So I said, you sure you're okay? And she says, yeah, I'm okay. I said, look at me. I've been around. What's up? And next thing you know, she gets embarrassed and she leaves. Anyways, she leaves. A year later, she calls me, comes and meets with me, cries, breaks down, and tells me, while I was working with you, I was taking pills. And she would come to work and all these symptoms that I would study. No one's going to hire and maintain somebody like that in life. You got to drop the drugs. So why am I talking about drugs? It's a very common thing with kids nowadays too. And it's always been the case. Pod, X, I'm rolling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. If you have any plans of doing anything big, why would you add other things in your life that slows you down? There is no reason for doing that. I don't drink coffee because coffee, people get connected to coffee. I don't need coffee. I exercise to get my energy. I don't need to drink coffee. Now, some people do, and some people do that. I'm not a fan of it. I'm simply giving you my opinions on what it is to be taken serious as a young entrepreneur. Avoid drugs, avoid any of that stuff, and eventually people will notice you advancing in life and your brain's going to be functioning from a good place. You're not going to mess yourself up. You're not going to make any of those big mistakes in life that really set you back. And all of a sudden, you notice everyone around you wants to do business with you. You're making good income, you're traveling the world, you're becoming an influencer, and you're doing well in life, and your clients, your
customers love doing business with you, and your dreams are becoming a reality because now people are taking you serious as a young entrepreneur. And no, age has nothing to do with being taken serious. Nothing. I can look at a kid's eyes and know that kid is really determined about what they want to do in their lives. Eyes never lie. When you do business with somebody, they can tell from the eyes if it's droopy, if it's all over the place, and if you know exactly the subject you're speaking on. That brings confidence. So anyways, that's my message to you on how to be taken as serious as a young entrepreneur. If you know another young entrepreneur, you want to share this content with them, go ahead and do so. If you got any questions, comment on the bottom. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot more great content on the channel they can find as well. Thanks for watching. Today I want to talk about the 15 mistakes I made as a CEO that can save you millions of dollars. So look, a lot of it has to do with what phase of your career you're at as a CEO, meaning you're a startup CEO, you've never been a CEO before. Maybe you've been a CEO for about 5 years, but you got a plateau, you're a CEO for 10 years, kind of more experienced, and you feel good about your philosophies, or maybe you've shadowed under somebody else, and you're a CFO, CMO, CEO, you're about to get promoted to a CEO, and you're trying to figure out some areas, blind spots that you may have. I want to share 15 of them with you, although I got a lot more mistakes I made. I'm going to give you 15 of them. Let me get into point number one. Not understanding the pendulum of decision-making process. Let me explain to you what I mean by this. When you're first getting started, you have to touch 100% of your decisions because you're the only employee. You don't have a lot of other people. Maybe you may have 5 employees. Maybe that 100% of decisions goes to 90% of decisions, 80% of decisions, 70% of the decisions. The goal is to eventually get to 10% of the decisions for you to make. So why 10%? Because you have built the right amount of leaders and they're taking responsibility for 90% of the decisions, and you're around the 5 to 10% mark. Now, why is that? Some people like to know and make decisions for everything where you're not really building leaders, and sometimes your leaders don't like that because you're not showing enough trust into them and knowing that they can do it, and that's one of the mistakes you can make too early on. But also sometimes people just let go of all the decisions too early. I don't need to be part of anything. You make the decisions, you make the decisions, you make the decisions. I made this mistake multiple times. Some had to do with contracting, some had to do with verbiage, some had to do with negotiations, some had to do with relationship with vendors, with carriers, with partners, with technology vendors. I had a technology company that was upset because somebody prior to us was communicating with them and there was a miscommunication. But the point is, whatever that 10% is for you, your goal is to get there. When you do get there, never release all the decisions out. Know what you have to be a part of and still touch the main decisions to be made. Number 2, just focusing on the positives. Let me explain to you what I mean by this. You don't want to talk negatives with your executive team or your leadership. It's always positive. Positive. No, we're not going to focus on this positive, 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 because it's positive thinking, because we have to stay positive. Wrong. Positive thinking may be good for somebody that's in sales or somebody that's an independent contractor, real estate agent selling. As a CEO, a big part of your job as a CEO is to take the negatives off of other people. And you have to bring up the negatives. You have to talk about the crisis. You have to talk about the problems. Not everything can be positive all the time because, first of all, it's not real. It's fake. And your people kind of see a level of fear and insecurity in you in not wanting to talk about the problems that's out there. Everyone knows the problem exists. Everybody. Your folks working with you are not fools. They know it exists. You got to bring it up and talk to them. And you have no idea how many times when you bring up the negative, the crisis, the issue to talk to them about, they have so much respect for you because they say, wow, he's not afraid. She's not afraid. We like following him in the way he's leading us right now. Number 3, hiring people you like. So many times people only hire people they like. It'll not only cost you a lot of money. Normally it's a friend or a relative that you hire because you like them. It'll end up hurting you with the relationship, costing you money, confusing your peers. Some of your peers may sit there that are working with your employees, may say, you know what, this guy favors people, ends up hurting you. So don't just hire people you like. Hire the people that you're really looking for whatever the position is. Number 4, don't compromise the non-negotiable. Let me explain to you what this is. When you're dating and you're looking for somebody, you're going to have a few things that you are not willing to compromise, that no matter what it is, even if I like everything, I'm not willing to compromise the following 3 things. That's where I was at. I'm not compromising these 3 things. So I may date somebody and I like them. We have a lot of connection together. But if there was a few things I am not compromising, and everybody has that. In the world of business, I had a meeting earlier on, and I sat there and I said, I just want you to know this. I am very good in my decisions. Hey, Pat, we're doing this. Check. Can we do this with 401k matching? Check. Can we do this with health insurance? Check. Can we do this with health? Check. Can we do benefits program with this? Explain it to me. Then, can we do this with check, check, check? Can we do this? Nope. This is where I draw the line because this is part of my non-negotiable. Whoa, Patrick's pretty serious about this. Everything else, you just got to inform me. I may negotiate and say, I'm going to come and, have a call with them because I think I can negotiate a little bit more on this. I think they're winning right now. We got to get to the 50-50 part. But everything else that's part of the non-negotiable, I am not negotiating. This is where I draw the line. We're not going to pass this. Do not compromise your non-negotiable. Stick to that. It could be a cultural thing. It could be the standards you have, expectations you have. Don't compromise it because if you do it once, everybody else says, well, you did it with Mary, you did it with Johnny, you did it with Billy, how come you're not doing it with me? And then you have to explain yourself to everybody. Then you lose your leadership influence that you have, and everybody's like, yeah, but, and that's going to hurt you and keep you up at night. So do not compromise your non-negotiable. You know exactly what those things are. Don't compromise. Next, second-guessing yourself. I second-guessed myself multiple times in my career. But here's the key. If you look at the sentence, how I ended, it says second-guessing yourself in areas you're an expert in. What does this mean? Look, there's areas that I'm not an expert in.
All right, chat, let's go. We got to keep the momentum going. Keep drilling these numbers, man. Let's go.
So we can make a decision together.
Grind.
What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And sometimes people that are disagreeing, so I can kind of get the balance on who's making the decision. Like, but there are areas you are an expert in. There are areas that no one knows more than you. Do not second guess yourself in those specific areas. I am in my fifth year as a CEO, I believe, fourth year as a CEO, and at this point it was like 2013, 2014, and we're going through an interesting time, challenging time, and a couple of guys that work with me, they made me second guess myself. And I was constantly second guessing for about an 18-month period. That 18-month period, we grew, but we weren't growing at 100% or 75% rate. We were growing like 15, 20%. I said, no more second guessing. This is who PDD is in these areas. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm an expert in. I'm going to lead this way. I'm not negotiating. This is what my expertise is. All the other areas, you want to get feedback? Sure, I'll get other people's feedback. But not in the areas that you are an expert in. Do not second guess yourself in areas you're an expert in. And nobody who's a real CEO that's got 50 employees, 20 employees, 30 employees, you didn't get to that point by pure luck without being an expert in an area. You are an expert in an area. Trust your expertise. Next, speed of decision-making process. Look, there are some decisions you got to make and move on. And there are some decisions that take a little longer down. There was a decision I had to make that affected every department. And what I noticed all of a sudden was, as I was not fully ready for the decision, in my mind, I was 90% there, but I wasn't 100%. It was a very big decision. All of a sudden, I noticed every department was kind of not moving swiftly because everybody was waiting on me. This lasted 3 weeks. I had a meeting one day. I said, listen, I just want to let you guys know, here's my decision. This is what I'm doing. I'm not going back. Here's what we're doing moving forward. We're going with this. This is a decision. You should have seen the look on everybody's face. Relief. Everybody said, Patrick, thank you so much for finally making this decision. We know it was tough, but we're glad you made this decision because everybody can now move on. So a lot of times you are hanging on to a decision thinking it only affects you, where in reality it's affecting so many different departments, they're just waiting on you to make a decision. So either no decision, yes decision, what is it? We're not doing it, but make sure you make a decision depending on what some of these things are, and this kind of can hurt everybody in that organization. Next, taking your eye off the money. Early on in my career, probably year 2 or year 3, we're going, I'm hiring, I'm getting technology, investment, office, marketing, big event, conference, all these things on the market. I'm trying to get everything going with the company. Then one day I come in and my director of finance comes up and says, hey, I just want to show you the checking account where we're at. She brings up that this was 2011, late 2011, early 2012. She brings a business checking account. I said, really? She said, yes. I think you should need to know this. And I looked at her, she looked a little concerned. I said, wow, we ought to be concerned. The account is very low. I had no idea the account was that low.
I sat there
I
and
sat there and I said,
what do we
what do we need to do about
right
this right now?
Step back.
Step back.
Made a
Made a list.
everything
we had to do.
cut the
Cut the few things that we had to cut.
Go out
Go out there and drive sales. Every time you don't pay attention to money, it's normally because you're not paying attention to sales. I want to look at everything, every behavior that I have to do to drive revenues back up. 3 6 months, we're back at it. We 4x the amount of savings we had in the account, and we were good to go and we were solid. Now, from there on, everything with data, with dollars, with numbers, I am paying attention to the money because we have to. If you don't, nobody cares more about the money in a company than you as a CEO. You got to pay attention to the money because no one cares about the money more than you. Not the CFO, CMO, CEO, nobody. They're good at what they're doing, but nobody cares more about the money than the CEO of the company. Next, having outside counsel outside of your board, meaning when you build a business, and let's just say get an investor, you have a board, right? This board is giving you advice on what to do, and here's what we do with this, and you have to go through the governance and all this stuff, and do you want to do with this, do you want to do with that, what do you feel about this, and they're all giving you feedback. And sometimes as you're dealing with board, the board wants you to take feedback. It's very weird dynamic. Let me explain. It's almost like a relationship where whoever's the leader of the relationship, somebody always leads the relationship. Sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a woman, but somebody always leads the relationship. And the dynamics vary depending on whatever the relationship is. Say you are the person that's the leader of that relationship. If you get to a point where maybe you're second guessing a little too much, you're putting concern on everybody else. People don't mind you asking feedback, but little too much makes them feel like you don't know if you're leading the organization in the right direction as well. So as you're dealing with board, ask questions, take feedback, but you got to have an outside board outside of that you are getting counsel on some of the stuff you're processing, and you go into the board prepared. This is a great organization to be a part of. It's all over the world. You pay $1,200, $1,500 a month to sit with another 8 other C executives, CEOs, CMOs, CEOs, and somebody who's the chairman of the board. You come into the Vistage group. They're all over the world. You'll come in and say, here's what I'm ranking with my personal life, my marriage, my finances, my health. And there's one crisis that I want to talk to you guys and process together. Then you take the lead, and everybody gives you feedback. I'm trying to raise money. We're about to lose money. So Vistage, YPO, there's a lot of them out there depending on what size of the organization you are. But you typically, my recommendation is to get a board outside of your existing board that you are reporting all the numbers to. And have enough of a position where you are willing to take, but at the same time, you got to be assertive so they know you're leading as well. Number 9, favoring people. Number 9 is favoring people. Favoring people is very similar to hiring people you like. You'll have a team. You'll have people you work with. You'll have certain people that you favor. The moment favoritism takes place in an organization, you lose trust with a lot of other people. Let me give you an idea. I immediately had an environment where I realized, look, I have somebody that I like, and I wouldn't fire this person, wouldn't let her go. I moved her in 5 different departments, and everybody started saying, Pat, we know you favor her, we know you like her, it's just not working out. Finally, I had to sit down and course direct them into a career. They told me what timeline they have. They finally chose the career that they were excited about. I said, are you excited about this? No. Maybe you ought to consider doing this. She got excited, and she chose to leave. And we made a decision realizing I'm not going to be doing that anymore. This was in 2012, 2013, and we moved on. What's the moral of the story here with you? Once I made that adjustment, I made it very clear. Even people that I have a relationship with, or a friendship with, or an association with in the company, it was very simple. If they were out of line, it was very clear that, listen, I don't favor the decision that was made. If even family was out of line, I don't favor the decision that was made. Now, you have to be respectful, diplomatic, all of that. This is not being a jerk about it. But people then started realizing you don't favor people. Trust goes up because you're going to treat people fairly. Not equally, because some of you guys are more important than others, but at least you're going to be fair. Favoring people, you're going to lose a lot of trust in your organization. Number 10, knowing who to take counsel from and who not to. Very critical. Let me explain. Everybody's going to give you advice. Everybody. So, for example, we started going through a phase which was like, so we want to do a meeting, and you guys give your advice on how we can make the company better. Because this is out of an article we read. It's so nice because it's great when everybody gives feedback. Give us your feedback on what you think. So all of a sudden, this feedback, I think we're doing this wrong. I think we're doing that wrong. I think we're doing this wrong. And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting there saying, terrible idea. Who are you to tell us we're doing these things wrong? And then I realized
Credibility is what's predicated based on your advice being heard. You can put a lot of advice on. By the way, again, what I'm saying, a lot of people are not going to agree with. Because if you go read Huffington Post, if you go read Fortune magazine or Money magazine written by these journalists, they say things like, you have to be willing to want to hear everybody wrong if you want to build a big organization. Because you could be taking advice from somebody that's never made more than $45,000 a year, telling you how you're doing 10 different things wrong. And then you're sitting there saying, what am I doing this here for? This makes no sense to me. You can't lose your core. So I started looking. Who is giving the advice? What is the credibility? What is the expertise? What is the background? How long have you been here to know the culture, to know what you stand for, to know the history of it? Then I'm willing to take counsel from you. There's a lot of consultants when you start a business and you become a CEO. You pay me $20,000, I'll be able to fix your problems for you. Ma'am, if you're so good at solving my problems for me, you would never be a consultant. You go run a company and be a CEO. If you're such an expert, why did you become a consultant in the first place? A lot of times people become consultants because they couldn't make it in the world of business. Running a business is not easy. All of these coaches, I'm a life coach. I'm doing all this other stuff. If you're so incredible at being a life coach, why don't you go build a company and have a couple hundred employees and sell it for a couple $1 billion? But that's not what I like to do. No, because you know it's hard. There's a big difference between talking about all these cultural articles, 19 points where people to love each other and have autonomy and all these other things. Nice, great, sweet, looks very good in a utopian world where unicorns fly. When you're running a business, it's a completely different ballgame. You have to understand who to take advice from and who not to take advice from based on where they're at. Again, not a lot of people are going to agree with this, but I'm giving you the mistakes I made, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. Number 11, not studying data. So you're running, you're gunning. Now, some people are studying way too much data and they forget about the emotional side of human side. There's human side. You cannot ever lose the human touch. Ever. You cannot ever have that conversation. I was having a conference call earlier this morning, and on this conference call, I'm talking to one of our executives, and he sounded defeated. And I'm going through it with them, and he reported numbers for their office and what they were doing, and it was the worst ever. So rather than taking the approach of just going data, you didn't do this, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, I took a completely different approach. I said, I want you to understand something here. I said, I can give you 10 different things. I can give you 5 different things. But here's what I can tell you. You got an office with about 6 people that work here. Why? He said, yes. I said, sometimes when you have something you face where it's a loss, right? And you get defeated, you lose. That defeated energy is felt by everybody. And you don't even know it. It's felt by your support, your customer service, your sales, your organizational people, your processors, everybody. You just got to pick yourself out. I said, listen, how many times have I told you how much I respect you for your character, your values, who you are as a human being, as a father? This is a guy that never drank in his life. He's disciplined, church going, so kind to his wife, incredible kids. Every time I'm around his kids, I'm like, I wish my kids had more friends like their kids, because their kids are incredible kids. Literally, I love this guy's kid. And I told him who he is as a human being. I said, listen, you lost. I got it. You ain't defeated though. And you got to change that attitude.
Yes, sir, Daryl. Appreciate you getting on. All right, hello. Can you turn on your camera? Okay, I can see. And then can you flip the camera to the backside? It may say rotate. It may say rotate on your end. Nice. Okay. Now, when you go to the abs, show me what happens when you go to the abs. Like it's going all black. Yeah. Can you hit the back button? The back button. Let's try to refresh the app. If you go to where it says like, if you go to where it says like settings, you go to settings. It says update contents on the right side, top right side. Okay, let's go back. Let's try see if it'll like load up now.
Click on.
Yeah, let's try the ABC. That's crazy. What about a different channel like Adult Swim? So that's all the channels.
Yeah, everything, every app on it outside of what I brought from you.
Yeah.
Just my normal TV apps.
You mean your normal TV apps don't work?
Right.
So that has to be something with the device or probably the Wi-Fi. I'm testing on my phone right now. Yeah, it's working. Show you like that. It's working on the phone. But so it should be working on your TV as well. So let's try to go back. Let's do a power reset on your device. Go to settings. And we'll go to My Fire TV. Do you know the code?
Well, God.
Let's scroll down. Let's scroll down to where it says restart. Right, that's working. It goes straight to the saving. Because it wasn't doing it before. So, hopefully it's working. It is working now. Okay, good. Yeah, it might have just been a reset. It might just need a reset for real, but yeah, once you kind of get that taken care of, you're all back up and streaming. Yeah, I appreciate you being a part of the community though. So, do you know anybody else who might need the service? Not yet. I ain't really been talking to nobody. Okay. I just hooked it up with you. Yeah. So, let's make it happen for real. If you know anybody, let me know. But yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be glad to assist. All right, babe. Appreciate it. All right, take care, man. Bye. All right, boom, just like that, chat. Boom, got that done. I'm trying to see if we're making a payment or no. I don't want to just be on the phone the whole time with these people. Let me put like 120 on. My card, man. I don't think it's the right thing to do right now. All right, chat. So basically, let me show you what we got going on right now. Basically, I started tracking my bills. I know you probably can't see this, but if you zoom in, this is a copy of my bills. I started tracking my bills, and this one's $327.74. And basically, I made a payment right now for $127.74. So my $200 remaining balance is due by 8/27/26. So I gotta make sure in my mind that I know this amount of money is due on this date, 8/27/2026. And then the rent, yeah, it's about 5 bands because I'm a little late, but it's like we have 500 in there, so remaining is like 4,500, and we paid like 500. And so let's get back to work. See if they took the payment so I can lock my card again. I'm pretty sure they took it. All transactions. It doesn't say it quite yet, but I'm gonna just let it be. And just lock the card. I won't even lock the card till it's done for real. So we're gonna let that be. And we're finna get back to this. If we could throw another like 450 on that. We gotta get that. We gotta get that done. We gotta get this money in, chat. It's no joke. We gotta pay Verizon. I'm thinking about just letting Verizon go for real. But we're gonna see. We're gonna keep getting to what we get to. Keep building up this wallet. Making these girls holler. Come on. Let's get back into the mindset, back into the mind frame. Keep feeding the brain, feeding the brain.
Make a list of 20 things that makes you special as a human being. Remind yourself who you are, and then go do that to everybody around you, because if you are defeated, your people around you are drained. They need to hear from you. He says, thank you so much for the counselor. I called him afterwards. We had a funny conversation. I said, did you take a cold shower already? Ha ha ha, not yet. Anyways, we took care of that and moved on. Here's the point though, going back to this. Not studying data. Set that emotional side aside. Now go to the other side. So many times people don't look at their data. They look at their trends. They don't measure month to month. They don't measure all this. There's a lot of things I'm going to be talking about at the Vault Conference we're holding at May 1st to May 4th in Dallas. That's 3 days. I'm going to be covering a lot of data in ways to study. Sometimes people say, well, study data, predictive analytics. And people say, I have no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean by predictive analytics? What do you mean by data? I don't understand what you're saying. Really, I don't even know where to start. You got to look at your numbers and measure all of them. Maybe I'll do another video or something like that, of course, specific to data, but you got to study your numbers. All of it. Measure everything to everything, season to season, quarter to quarter, month to month, week to week, day to day. You will learn so much about the trends of your business. Number 12, avoid hiring resume builders. Mistake I made. So this whole idea of, well, you know what? Why don't we hire people and train them here and develop them here and do this and do this and do that, and we build them up. Home office support, not sales. Sales you got to build sometimes. Sales, I want greens. I'm not really looking for a guy that's been in sales for 20 years, because sometimes they come in and they know everything, can't teach them everything. I'm talking home office support, right? So you hire resume builders. And so what you don't know about these 24-year-olds who are coming here because they only want to work here for 2 years, get a couple raises, they use that raise and go shopping to other companies saying, this company pays me this much. Are you willing to pay me 80? If you do, I'll leave. And then boom, they leave you. All that time into them, they left. Or they threaten you. They're offering me this. What are you going to give me? And then you are in a position where like, oh my gosh, this is kind of like, what is the situation I'm in? And it's kind of tough and you're kind of annoyed and you're not, but you do, you don't. Are they a linchpin? Are they not a linchpin? So here's what I recommend you do. Many times you can't afford it when you're a new company. I fully get it. Believe me, I hired, people that I had to just bring on board to help me out in many different areas that we're not experts in. The goal is to get to a point where you don't just hire resume builders. Depending on the kind of culture you want to build. You hire people that are already done that to 2-3 other companies, okay? They're coming to you because they want to stay. and they're at a number in the market where that's their value. It's not going to be a 50% spike anymore. They want to come to you and they want to work with you. Perfect. Now bring all the value that you learned to me, rather than getting maybe a 24-year-old, you're getting a 36-year-old, career, wife, kids, husband, settled down. They kind of need to get their part going. They need a little bit more stability than just risk to go all over the place. So avoid hiring resume builders. Avoid hiring resume builders. Next, a comp plan that doesn't produce the results you want. What do I mean by this? So many times, I look at a company, they'll come down, a CEO will come here with their executive team, or I'll do a call with them or something like that. Or they say, Pat, here's where I'm at. What do I do to drive my organization? I'll say, listen, show me your comp. I say, what do you mean? Show me all the executives you have and show me their comp plan. And then show me your salespeople you have and show me their comp plan. Show me your support team you have and show me their comp plan. I don't get what you're talking about. How do you pay them? Well, I just pay them like this. Well, that's the problem. Your comp plan sucks. Well, how do you want me to pay them? You got to readjust. I have probably, and I'm not kidding with you, I've probably changed my comp plan probably 100 times. I've changed my comp plan 100 times. You know why? Every time I was trying to find what produces the emotion and the results I want. Sometimes your comp plan could be the reason that some people are, cutting the line and breaking the rules, and sometimes breaking the laws because it's affected by your comp plan. You got to have a comp plan that produces exactly what you want from your employees, your staff, your support, your exec, and your salespeople. Number 14, experienced talent equals money. Don't be cheap if you want to get the right kind of talent. Maybe you get somebody that's cheap, but their talents are also cheap. If you want. Whether you're an entrepreneur or just an independent contractor, guess what we all are? We're all salespeople. So when somebody says, I'm not a salesperson, I'm an entrepreneur, they don't really understand the meaning of an entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur is a salesperson. So I want you to today look at this from the process of asking yourself, which part of the sales process do I make a mistake in? Where is your leak in the sales process of whatever your business may be? Where's the leak that you have? Because for me, over the years, every single time my sales would drop or I would see someone outdoing me, I would always ask myself, where in the process do I have a problem with? Where in the process is a challenge I have that I have to figure out a way to improve? Because in reality, improving in sales is really about discipline and it's about details. If you are not disciplined, which means work ethic, diligence, follow through all that stuff, or you're not paying attention to the details that we're about to get into right now, you're simply winging it. And you don't want to wing sales. Sales is, a lot of people may disagree, sales is guaranteed to work. Listen, when people tell me how to make it in sales, I guarantee you lack discipline or you didn't pay attention to details and you don't work that hard. Sales will work for anybody. I firmly believe that. Anybody, it'll work. It's just most people don't want to be disciplined and most people don't pay attention to details. So let's get right into the sales process. So in sales, you'll typically hear, no matter what business you're in, you'll go through the flow of sales. Some say there's 5 steps, some say there's 6 steps, 7 steps, 10 steps, 3 steps. I'm explaining 6 steps here to you right now. Step number 1 is prospecting. Number 2 is approach and contact. 3 is presentation, follow-up. Then it's referral. Then it's maintaining your customer relationship. So let's get right through it, and you need to ask yourself in which of these areas you struggle. So let's start off with the first one. First one is what? Prospecting. So what is prospecting? So prospecting, a lot of times, people will think prospecting is going out there in the cold market and trying to get somebody to buy a house from you, and I'm going to meet them at a mall. Or prospecting is me going out there in the cold market and trying to get somebody to, buy my technology from me for their company. That's prospecting. No. Prospecting is multiple different ways of prospecting, and I'm going to explain every single one of these prospecting to you extremely in depth. So you ask yourself which one you're very good at. So think about it. First of all, there's really 3 different types of people in the world of prospecting that you know. One is people you don't know. 2 is people you know. And 3 is people your people know. Again, People you don't know, cold market, okay? People you know, this is your warm market. 3 people your people know, which for me it's my favorite market because there's nothing like getting into this market. Now, from the lowest to the highest, the lowest percentage of conversion is people you don't know. Then it's people your people know. Then it's people you know. Sometimes this is harder than this one, by the way, but stay with me here. Okay, so Pat, great. Now I know what my market is. Excellent. So how do I now get a market? No problem. You got to look at prospecting as multiple different ways of catching a fish. So you can't just have one way of doing it. You need to have multiple different nets out there. And one of them is generally going to work with you. Pick any product. I don't care what product it is. Pick any product you're selling. You can figure out ways to get into other markets. How can you do that? One is social media. One outlet is social media. There's a lot of people doing that. You can do it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can do sponsored posts, boost them. You can do Instagram posts and boost it. You can do YouTube, Google AdWords. There's so many things you can do on social media. The other one on people you don't know is networking events. You can go to networking events, especially the area of networking events that's predicated to the product that you're mainly marketing. So whatever your networking event you want to go to that people are there. I did a video on it last week. What was the video called that we did last week? It was called How to Charm Like Casanova. In that video, How to Charm Like Casanova, I talk about 18 different ways to master the art of networking. If you haven't...
Basically, Chad, let me break this down. The ways to get into new markets, like he's saying, social media or networking events. Like a networking event could be you walking to the store. It could be at work. You got some people at work. You can join the club. Not only do they got that, outdoor events, anything offline, that's networking events. Social media, that's online. That's an online play. That's why he's like, you could do Facebook, social media, Google ads, this and that, email marketing. He's all talking about online marketing, offline marketing. Understand? He's breaking game down.
Watch that video. Go watch the video. It's one of the previous episodes. So how do you become a better networker? One is networking. Another one is going into cold market prospecting. You just meet people randomly and you approach them and you have a script. Prospecting. Another one may be friendship farming. You're turning strangers into friends. So I don't know John, but I keep going to this restaurant and eventually John and I become best friends because we have lunch at 12 o'clock and every day we talk sports. 6 weeks from now, we've had 4 beers together and I already know his life story, his family. I just told him, hey, what kind of business are you in? That relationship went from being a cold relationship to now warm, to now we went golfing together. We have a friendship now. Our wives have met each other, whatever. I know his kids. I've met his parents. I met his girlfriend. I met her, boyfriend. We're good. We're getting along. There is a relationship there. So strangers into friends. That's what
I'm going to just be real with you. One example of friendship farming, go to local events, networking events, or just go outside to where other businesses set up, like farmers markets, local hubs, stuff like that. Because, just on Sunday, I went and I was meeting some of the people at the farmers market, and then they were giving out flyers. They were giving out business cards, stickers, and I got their Instagram, and we immediately just started talking later that day. And then I introduced my business and what I did to him after learning about his business and what he did. And so it's just networking and kind of like meeting other people and kind of, building your pipeline. Come on, what you know about that, man? Come on, get our sales game up. We got to get our sales game up.
It's a whole different video by itself. Then there is friendship, the part where I said people that your people know. I love this part with referrals. On prospecting is because I'm going to get back to the referrals, but on the prospecting side, on who my people know, they make for the best prospects. On when I ask them specifically what kind of clients I'm looking at. So then there's center of influence. What's center of influence? Center of influence for me in prospecting is you taking the top 20 people you respect the most in your community. Make a list of it. Top 20 people you respect the most in your community. Make a list of it. Then you know what I want you to do? I want you to contact these 20 people and ask them to go have a cup of coffee with you. What's the the script sounds like this. Hey, I really value the fact that you're a successful entrepreneur. One day, I'm planning on being someone like you. I would love to treat you to coffee one of these days or lunch. When is a good time for us to go out? It's on me. I just want 30 minutes of your time. No problem. Then you go and you're simply building a relationship. Eventually, 3, 6, 12 months later, you give whatever you can to them. They're going to give back to you. How can I help you? They'll give you the context or relationship that they have that could help you, right? And so then that needs to be maintained constantly. So there's many different ways to improve on the prospecting side. Now let's continue because I want to come back to prospecting. Approach and contact. What's approach and contact? Well, one could be how you send your formal email to somebody to follow up with them once you got the info. So I got the number, I got the phone number, I got the email address, I got first name, last name. Then what do? Step number 2, I befriend them on LinkedIn. Then on LinkedIn, I send them a message. Or if I already have their email, I send them an email and I say, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you earlier today. I was impressed with that. I'd love for us to schedule time to visit and talk about I think there's ways we can create a synergistic relationship here. Great. So that's the approach and contact. What is that script that you have for this? Then there's a phone call script. What script do you have? I mean, I can tell you, I sold Bally's memberships back in 1999, that was what, 17 years ago we're talking about? I know the script till today. Here's what the script sounded like. So somebody calls in and they would call it a telephone inquiry. They put on hold, it would say TI line 1. You would pick up. Thank you for holding. How may I help you? Yes, I'm calling to get more information about a gym. No problem. You called at a great time. By coming in today, you can get started as low as $5 down, and a monthly membership would only break down to be a few dollars, $6 to $8 a week. By the way, what are some of your fitness goals? Are you trying to lose weight, tone up, or increase energy? I want to increase energy. Are you currently working out at a gym? I'm not. What is your current routine? How far do you live from here, etc., etc.? Let me give you a virtual tour of what our gym looks like. That's exactly the script. And then it was going to schedule time for you to come in. It was a script. It worked. Now, obviously, most people say, I don't like scripts. Look, my body and your body is made up of skeletons that's generally the same, okay? You may have longer legs, you may have shorter legs, you may have bigger feet, smaller feet, you may have bigger hands, smaller hands, bigger torso, wider shoulders, smaller head, bigger head, skin. It doesn't matter. The skeleton is generally the same. It's the body and the skin outside that may be a little bit different. You need a script, and then from there you can add your personality to it. But there needs to be a script. So do you have a script for your approach and contact once you get this in email, Facebook, LinkedIn, call? Do you have that? If you don't, that is a lead. You need to have that. 3, presentation. So a lot of times, believe it or not, out of all these things, you know what's the one thing most people are very, very good at? Is presentation. Why? It's the easiest one. Anybody can present. It's so easy to present. I know everything about our presentation, but how come I'm not making a lot of money? Because this doesn't make you money. This doesn't make you money. This is very easy to do. This doesn't mean you don't need to be good at this. This is very important, but it's the easiest one to do. It ain't that hard to learn how to give the presentation. So what are some leaks on presentations that you'll generally see? Oh my gosh. If you catch yourself in a presentation, it's a sit down with a business owner. It's a sit down with a client at the kitchen table. It's a sit down with them coming to your office. It's a sit down with a product you're selling. It's, furniture, and they want to furnish their house, whatever it is. If it's a lot of talk, no one cares. You've lost them. Okay? I would watch people's presentation. Carriers would come and they would say, hey, let me tell you about the history of our company. And I specifically said, look, I just want you to know, you've been on us since 1886. I'm very impressed. What are we going to do here? Here's what I'm looking for. No problem. So don't be the person that goes for 17 minutes. The history of our company for 30 seconds? Maybe. 7 minutes? Too long. Brief. It's all about a good presenter is very good at asking questions. So tell me, what's important to you? What's important to them? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? How about this part? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? Is this important to you? How do you feel about it? How do they feel about it? How does your wife feel about it? How do your customers feel about it? Is that something that's important to you? Between 0 to 10, what would you say it is? It's questions that you're asking on the presentation. If it's too many statements without questions, you're not a good presenter. A good presenter is somebody that's also asking questions because you're getting to find out about who? Them. Sales is so simple. Sales is so easy. If you simply looked at the customers as you, this is how I like to sell. I look at you as the customer and I ask myself, if I were you, what would I buy and what would serve you if I'm you? And so I said, look, if I were you, I would need this based on this that you told me. And I would need a little bit of this based on that you told me. Even though you have this right now, you're paying this much for it right now, I don't think you have a need for it because you told me this. So here's what I propose we do. I said we start with this, you can drop this, and that's good for starters. And 12 months from now, let's revisit to see what we can do. What do you think about that? Great. Any questions? No. Let's get the paperwork started. Very simple, right? Presentation is questions and knowing your craft, knowing your product, and generally not BSing people when you don't know what you're talking about. Next is follow-up. Okay. Remember how I said two things is the reason why people don't make money in sales? What was one of them? Discipline. Guess what this is? 100% discipline. This is nothing more than discipline. It's nothing more than discipline. I talked to you about the other D, which was what? Details. So why is discipline and details important here? Well, details is very important because if you're following up with me as a customer and you don't remember our conversations, details that we had the first time, it tells me you don't pay attention to things. You're just trying to get the money, okay? But if you do have the discipline to follow up and you do remember the specific details of what I told you the first time you and I had a 7-minute conversation, I'm very impressed. You value my time. I'll do business with you because it's details and it's discipline. Make sense? So follow up, the biggest sales, the biggest commission checks, the most profitable opportunities that I've had in my career as an entrepreneur typically happened after I reached out to the customer or the person, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. I mean, God knows how many times I reached out to certain people before I made the sale because it was follow-up. But here's what I did know. I had very simple scripts that I would use when I'd leave a phone call. This is what my call would sound like. I would say, hey, John, Patrick, right now is not a good time. I'm just really not interested right now. At this phase of my life, Perfect. There's 2 ways I can react to that. I'm rejected, or my other question is what? John, would you mind if I followed up with you 6 months from now, maybe in somewhere around February? Would that be okay with you? You know what, Patrick? That's not a problem. Excellent. Well, listen, John, since I'm not going to talk to you between now and then, happy Halloween, happy Thanksgiving, and happy holidays. And I'll talk to you in February. Hopefully before Valentine's Day, so I'll be able to wish you a happy Valentine's Day. I like your attitude, Patrick. Okay, take care, John. I'll talk to you in February. Bye-bye. Make a note, add details of what to bring up. Daughter, son, family, friends, etc., etc. You add the details, then you call in February. In February, if they don't pick up, here's how I leave a message. John, this is Patrick giving you a call. Again, I haven't spoken to you since August. Happy Halloween, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, happy New Year. And I'm hoping I can wish you a happy Valentine's Day because it's a week away from now. But look, I know you had a thing going on with your daughter in November. Her wedding was coming. I just wanted to call you. I'm sure you thought I forgot about you. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm looking forward to seeing it. This is a good time for us to do something. Something special has just come up with what we're offering right now with our products. I'd love to tell you more about it. What's the best time for us to call? Here's my phone number again. But I left a message. Whether he calls me back or not, it's irrelevant. Discipline details he's impressed. Then I'm going to call him again 2 to 4 weeks later until I get a hold of him. Then again, if he tells me not interested, John, would you mind if I called you 6 months from now? Not at all, Patrick. Great. I will call you in August. So between now and then, guess what? I know this sounds, some of you maybe listen to this and, oh my gosh, Pat, are you really like this? Yes, because this works. Sales is so easy, my gosh. This is absolutely, I am amazed when some people are not making $250,000 a year selling. This is the easiest thing you'll ever do. But if details and discipline is really what it's all about. So follow up next, referrals. What's referral? So a lot of times, think about it this way. A lot of times, in sports, you ever seen when, one of these guys shoots the basket like a Nick Young? I don't know if you guys know Nick Young used to play for the Lakers.
We're going to finish this video, but I got to get to the post office. Yeah, I got to get to the post office, ship out this box, and make sure that we keep shit in motion. Yo, motion, man. Sales, building the business. Each day we're getting more rich or more rich. Okay, you either have the opportunity to get more poor or get more rich. I don't even want to say more poor. It's more rich or more rich. There is nothing else besides getting more rich every day. By putting in time to understanding the fundamentals in business, by not only drowning our subconscious with information about business and about sales, but also practicing what we preach by using AI, blockchain, and business principles to grow the business. Like everybody's been saying all day in all these videos, sell, 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 sell. Your business is not in business if you don't make sales. Number one thing to do once you get a product or start your business is to make sales in that business. And so let's keep watching this sales video.
I don't know why the Lakers ever signed him. It's because there was nobody on the league for them to sign. But they signed Nick Young. Okay. So he's got a decent shot.
Always
so
be
there's
close.
one time in the game, he shoots the three-pointer and he turns around like that and is walking away that he's so confident. Guess what? The three's going to go. It doesn't go in. He looked like a fool. It was an ESPN highlight, right? If you go on YouTube and type in Nick Young, missed three-pointer, turn around, you'll see the video. It's so embarrassing. Some salespeople are like that. They go in and they close the deal. I got the signature, everything, man. This is so cool. And they walk out and they forget. Man, you just made $2,000. There's like $100,000 here. What are you doing? Stay. Relax. Don't celebrate. The game's not over yet. You still got to play defense. Referrals is what keeps you in business. That's your defense. So I got to figure out a way to get referrals. So then the next lead is referrals. How many referrals do you average per client? How do you ask for referrals? What is your referral script? Do you have a referral script? When do you ask it? Do you prepare them? Or do you all of a sudden say, surprise, I want referrals? Or do you say, in your presentation, John, I hope you understand, the way I make my living, I don't earn a salary. I simply make a living based on referrals. So referrals is my main source of keeping me in business, and I hope that I earn your trust to the point where you're comfortable, maybe later on we meet or later on in the presentation, if you feel good about what I have to offer to you, you're comfortable giving me referrals, right? If it makes sense. Yeah, of course, sure. You agree. No problem. Boom. Then at that presentation, I say, hey, do you remember when I told you earlier or last time we were together that my business is purely on referrals? And I said if it made sense, and obviously we're doing business together, so, who do you know that. And he asked for referrals. Piece of cake. But don't be a Nick Young. I'm telling you right now, don't be a Nick Young shooting the three-pointer excited. Come back around and play defense. You're about to lose the game. Defense wins championships. Come back. Denver Broncos won a championship last year, not because Peyton Manning wasn't having his best season. They won because their defense was one of the greatest ever. Referrals. And last one. Now, what's last one? Man, the last one is so important. Man, the last one is so important, but it's boring. Okay, so let me explain to you why it's boring. Okay, so think about it this way. I mean, I'm going to use this analogy because it's effective. A lot of times, we want new things. We want a new girlfriend. It's kind of cool, man. A new girlfriend, a new boyfriend, a new, new. Everything is new. I want a new. Okay, and then what we don't realize is, the most powerful things that have ever been built. We want a new industry, new product to sell. It's so exciting. The most powerful people in the world. Salespeople, business people, leaders, influential. They generally chose one route and they stuck to it, and they maintained that industry, that relationship. So maintaining your customer relationship, this is when you go into, saint status type of figure. If you know how to maintain relationships, what do I mean by maintaining relationships? To me, I love to maintain people that stay with me for a very long time. Strong team is very important. So my job is to make sure the company is doing very good. My job is to make sure that the environment is a great environment. My job is to make sure everybody's growing. We're developing. I'm outgrowing everybody because I'm leading them at the front. My job is to make sure there's an edge going on and we're competing, we're growing. Everyone's coming up with ideas. Why? Because I want to maintain a relation with home office, with my carriers, with my vendors, with my, following with you. I mean, we want to have an edge because we want to build a YouTube channel. We believe pound for pound we can go against anybody on YouTube. You see a lot of channels on YouTube that are purely motivation, regurgitating, same message over and over and over again. People finally say, look, you keep saying the same thing. We don't want to be that channel. We want to have 1 million subs on YouTube because we have plans of what we want to do to influence people around the world to make a decision to realize Happiness is linked to being an entrepreneur because you create, you're part of a community, and it's just kind of cool to have some kind of an ownership of what you're doing. There's a certain sense of excitement that comes from that. So I want to help more people become entrepreneurs. Whatever you're doing, this is what matters. You matter to me. You're important to me. I listen to you. I got an email, I got a letter here. I get gifts all the time, and if I talk about the amount of gifts that I get, I'd be here for a long time. But I get a lot of people that also say, Patrick, I want to take you out to lunch. I want to take you out to coffee. I don't have time to say that to everybody. It's very, I'm grateful for the messages. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't have the time to do any of that stuff right now. I got 3 kids. My traveling is hectic. I'm running a company. We got a lot of things going on. But I was very impressed with this letter I got from an attorney from New York. And I'll read it to you, and I'll give him some love with his first name, and then I'll tell you the approach he took. This to me is impressive. This is a prime example. We get fan mail all the time. We get people that stop by and visit, and they'll say, Pat, I'm in town. You have to say yes. I just want to meet you for 5 minutes and shake your hands. Great. They'll come up. We'll shake hands as long as nothing is too creepy. Great. We'll meet them. We get some random strange things that happen here, and we got a lot of guards and all that stuff to make sure we protect it. But I was so impressed by this letter. And so he's an attorney out of New York, John. I will give you a love, John, and you know who you are. It's a law firm out of New York. Astoria, New York is where he's at. So, John, if you're watching this, you know exactly what this is. I want to read it to you. I want to read you his letter, and he's got 2 cigars here for me, and this is not a regular cigar. He sent me a nice, I want to say it's Cifuentes, I think it is, right? Is that what it is? Yes, Fuentes. Yeah, it's a Fuentes cigar. Okay, good. So it's a decent cigar, nice cigar. Thank you, John. Here's how the letter sounds like. I have been watching your YouTube channel for a few weeks, and yes, I subscribe. Thank you for the sub. I've been frequent to watch various speakers over the years, and they were simply there. You, however, were presented, and you made me present. You were able to grab my attention and hold it. It was so much your words or your plethora of books on the wall, but it was your energy, and your voice isn't annoying. Family consensus. Well, I appreciate your family consensus. Apparently somebody said the other day, I can't listen to his voice. He sounds like a porn star, which I've never been called a porn star before for my voice. I don't even know what a porn star sounds like, but apparently I have that voice. Okay, now don't get distracted. Come back. I want to continue with the letter. And then he says, I now mostly watch your videos with my wife and children. As you, I work with my wife, and I believe we equally share the belief that we aren't simply parents, but responsible for assuring our children are leaders and not cattle. Towards the end, in addition to other books, I make sure that my eldest child, 10 years old, reads certain books so that he may have the opportunity to understand at an early age trials and tribulation that he will face in life as he journeys to fulfill his dreams, instilling in him, I hope, the belief that he can accomplish his goals through helping others, providing them, emphasizing that others must perceive the value, or there is none. A few books that he's read, I recommended following books, or there are places like Dr. Seuss or Bob Burke, good book, The Go-Giver, The Alchemist, Paul Culler. What books would you recommend? What prompted this correspondence was your video on how to work with family. I watch All Night with my family and found that myself thinking about it next day. I share your belief and practice as well with my wife, but near the end where you discuss how you would handle your children at the workplace or potential business venture resonated and impacted upon me, your dedication and discipline. Your content offers value to our family, and as a small token, listen to this, watch this. And as a small token of my appreciation, I offer an open invitation anytime you're in New York City to join me for fresh squeezed juice. He watches it, regular watcher, so he knows right now I've lost 17 pounds. Since you don't drink coffee, I don't drink coffee. Sounds good. Lunch or dinner would be fine. Perhaps you can challenge me to find a great spot for liver. Interesting. John, if you like liver, man, we got to go to some Mediterranean place. I just got to tell them how to make it. I am enclosing 2 cigars. One for each of us, hoping you will save them until we have our encounter. I would enjoy the opportunity to meet. Signature, wet signature, then in closed cigars are short, not because I want to limit our time together, but because I value your time. Listen, man, John, I got to tell you, I mean, you are pretty much an example of how to do this part. And this is class. I like this. I wanted to give John some love. So John, if you wanted to disclose that it's you with your last name, you can comment on the bottom. It's all good with me. If you don't, I'm giving you love for what you did. I'm impressed by that. That tells me he probably treats his customers that way, and he maintains customer relationships. See, the world of business, an attorney is a salesperson because you're selling people. A CPA is a salesperson. An accountant is a dentist, a great dentist that makes a lot of money. I know solid dentists in LA who make $200-300 grand a month, but they're salespeople. I went the other day and I was test driving a Lamborghini. The guy comes with a Porsche and he bought a brand new Aventador, and I said, hey, what do you do? He says, I'm a dentist. How do you make $200 grand a month as a dentist? Well, he makes $200 grand a month because he's a businessman and a salesperson on getting other people's business. But I guarantee there's some of this going on. Without this, you ain't gonna go to the top. Very simple. Because they talk to one another. You got to learn how to treat them very good. So again, as you look at this, people often ask me, well, Pat, based on your opinion, which one do you think is the most important? Which one is the most important? Well, let me tell you which one, without it, nothing exists. If you don't do this, kiss it goodbye. You know what's crazy? Michelangelo, what kind of time do I have? Like 3 minutes? Okay. You know what's crazy? What's crazy is some of you who are watching this, you are incredible at this, but you are so frightened of this. Because of that, you'll never make it big unless if you face your fears here and start doing this and this. Because you know where the money's at? The money's here. You know where the guarantee is at? The guarantee's here. This guarantees you. This means nothing. Very little. It means some, but not the most. This is what's most important. Anytime, I just always tell people, if your phone doesn't run out of batteries twice a day, you ain't working hard enough. Your phone's got to run out of batteries twice a day. Not because you're playing. Tell me some of the games that people play on the phones, Michelangelo. What would you say?
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds. What else? What's the one thing? The war game. The war game that people play. Clash of Clans, right? Or some of these things that people play, right? Okay? Your phone should be running out of batteries twice a day because you're making 200 calls a day. Okay? If you're a rookie entrepreneur, you ain't making 200 calls a day, you're not really hungry. You're just kind of winging it. You're hoping this thing works out for you and get lucky. There's a guaranteed formula to this. So with that being said, one, if you got any questions or comments about this, comment on the bottom. Two, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, Michelangelo, throw me my favorite towel to your, my favorite pillow to your left. I need your help. I need you to subscribe. Help us get to 100,000. Share our content with other people you know. We've been growing very fast the last couple months. Our YouTube channel has, which is quite exciting. But our goal is to get to 1 million. Our short-term goal is to get to 100,000 subs on entrepreneurs to learn more about the content here. Again, subscribe if you haven't.
Yes, chat. Subscribe to my content now. Do it. Subscribe. So basically, I didn't giving you the game once again, chat. Once again, I didn't done it on the month bill. We didn't done it, okay? I just showed you valuable content, okay? I didn't turn my shit into valuable content. And he just gave you the key. If you're not making 200 calls a day, 200 calls a day, what are you really doing? And I'm like asking myself this right now, like, what am I doing not making 200 calls? Like, I'm thinking 200 calls or 2,000 text messages. If you could text somebody 2,000 times, chat. I got to chat GPT this shit right now. Is there a limit to how many texts you can send on with a day with T-Mobile? There is no official cap, my boy. There is no official cap. Now, it does say for automated business or application messaging, T-Mobile enforces a strict 2,000 messages segment per day, but we're not doing that. And these are all direct text. So we might have just discovered the fucking hack, chat. We might have just discovered the hack right now. Like, can you message 2,000 people on Facebook? No, you can't. Can you message 2,000 people on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube? No, you can't. You cannot do that. But if you have their phone number, can you blow them up? Yes, you can. 2,000 people a day. Now, I'm not saying like, okay, look, if it takes you 30 seconds to send a text message, there's only 24 hours in a day. You got to sleep at least like 8 of them hours. 24 minus 8, you eat for like 3 of those hours, and then you shit for like 2 of those hours. The most you're putting in is 10 hours, 11 hours a day. You put in 10 hours divided by 60 minutes. 60, you know what I'm saying? 60 minutes times 2, because it's like 30 divided by 2. You know what I'm saying? That's about, you know what I'm saying? Like 60 minutes times 2, because every 30 seconds you're sending out a text. You can only send out 1,200 texts a day. If you're literally copying and pasting and it takes you 30 seconds, you literally are maxed at this amount. So now we got to figure out, okay, we're sending out that many messages, 10 hours a day. That's about 1,200 messages in 30 days. In 30 days, if you do it consistently for 30 days, you will at max hit 3,600 times 10, which is 36,000 people. If you message 36,000 people, selling them something for $250 and about 10% convert, you're looking at 3,600 people converting at $250. That's about a guap load of fucking money. That's a guap load of fucking money. That doesn't even sound right. But 10% is a little high. Let's say we go 36,000 and like 1% of people buy. Like 36,000. It's basically 360, okay? 360 people times 250. You're still making guapanese. But you have to message everybody every time of the day. So it's like, shit. Yo, don't give up hope, man. I'm helping all clients. Yo, Chad, we gotta get to it, man. I'm inspired right now. I'm inspired by how many people we can legit message. Like it's honestly inspiring. Like just think about it. Messaging that many people a day, you're gonna get sales. All right, let's listen to some more sales content. Wow, we gotta stay locked in. We gotta just like be proof. We gotta do proof in the pudding. If I message how many, if I could just message people every moment of the day, how many sales are we gonna get at the end of the month? This is clarity.
If you don't ask the questions of what you want to do next, the world is going to put you in the box on what you have to do next, because they're determining who you need to be. And you are rising up to their expectations because you're not asking the questions yourself. So clarity to me is stemmed from you being able to sit down and ask those tough questions that piss you off, that irritate you, that make you emotional, that you cry over, that you reflect, that makes you want to do research, that makes you follow up, that makes you sit down and say, I don't really know. I've never thought about this before. And that goes deeper and deeper and deeper. Everybody indirectly will impose their belief system into you. And it's never going to stop. You know, this whole thing about people say, oh my gosh, I can't wait to win to shut up all my haters. Reality check. It ain't never happening. Okay? It ain't never happening, because every time you come up, it's just more of it, right? And they're always, the great thing about haters is haters highlight your weaknesses.
My motivators, right?
Introduce you to this guest is the starting marks in worth of roughly $150 million. Pretty extraordinary for somebody who fled Iran at the age of 10, spent 2 years in a refugee camp in Germany, got fired from Burger King, and left the military in his 20s with no money and few monetizable skills. He summed up his secret to success in his video, The Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 Seconds, which went viral, ultimately gaining well over 30 million views and helping to blow up his personal brand. Now he's also the founder of the YouTube juggernaut Valuetainment, which has nearly 1.2 million subscribers and a ton of valuable content if you're looking to succeed at the highest levels. As a part of his mission to spread the power of entrepreneurship, he's interviewed some of the world's most extraordinary people, including NBA Hall of Famer Magic Johnson, billionaire Mark Cuban, and Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, making their wisdom accessible to anyone willing to learn. So please, help me in welcoming the man who wrote the 25 Laws to Doing the Impossible, the ferocious Patrick Bet-David.
Oh man, how are you?
Good, dude. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. I'm super excited to have you here.
It's great to be here.
And I want to start maybe somewhere a little unusual, but I want to talk about bodybuilding.
Let's do it.
What was it that drew you to that? And maybe more importantly, what did you learn from what I'll call one of the most intense disciplines in the world?
So when I was 14 years old, I was 6'1", 135, and my name wasn't Tyra Banks. So that's what I got into bodybuilding. And there was a commercial, maybe you'll remember this, there was a commercial that said, I used to be skinny, rejected by girls, and now I drink milk. And, I don't know if you remember that commercial, the milk commercial. Yeah. So for me, I said, man, I need some muscles, because I need a date, I need girls, I need to go out, I need to protect myself. And I started hitting the weights at 14 years old. I would go to the gym with 3 sweaters on, and there was a guy in there named Fred, who took a liking into me. He was like 5 years older than me, and I was benching the bar. The bar is 45 pounds, and when you don't have a lot of strength, when you bench the bar is shaking, right? So he pulled me and says, "Come here, kid. Don't look at anybody. You're gonna have a 2.5 pound rule on what you're gonna do. Every week, we're gonna increase your bench by 2.5 pounds, and that's all you need to do." And then from there, that whole 2.5 pound idea, I applied in business and everywhere else, and it worked, because that led me to, I was in the Army. I had, my room was all, posters of Arnold, of Ronnie Coleman, of Aaron Baker, of Chris Cormier, of Lee Haney, all of these guys. And I said, I'm going to go be a Mr. Olympia one day.
What did Arnold represent to you?
Arnold represented to me the story of an immigrant with a fire to prove a point that he wanted to control the narrative. When I say controlling the narrative, to me, is he's written the story for his life. Winston Churchill said many years ago, history will be kind to me, for I intend to write it. I think Arnold wrote his history. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to come here. I'm going to compete. I'm going to win. I'm going to go into Hollywood. I have an accent. With or without it, I'm still going to go into Hollywood. I'm going to marry a Kennedy. I'm going to go and be a governor. And I'm going to do what I want to do in my life. He was an example of this is possible.
So the thing that I find interesting about bodybuilding, because I started lifting in my mid-20s-ish, and for me it was very different. I grew up in a morbidly obese family, so I was somewhat trying to escape that. But quite frankly, I wanted to look like Hugh Jackman. So that was my obsession. That was right at the heyday of the X-Men franchise. He was Wolverine. Oh man, I was just about it. And I really did hate it. I hated every minute of being in the gym, but there was something to that, the discipline, the 2.5 pound rule, every time that I cycle through a body part, I've got to be a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger. And my partners and I used to talk a lot about what's super weird is here we are with these 3 entrepreneurs. We're using discipline in lifting in the exact same way that we would use it in business, the ability to push through something hard, the demand that you grow and get better. And we were looking at other people, and Arnold became fascinating to us because he was the only one that could apply it to every area of his life. Like what made him great in bodybuilding, and I think my favorite Schwarzenegger quote is somebody said to him, "I don't want to look like you." And he said, "Don't worry, you won't." And like the truth and the sort of wonderful arrogance of that quote, of how hard it is that it's never going to happen by accident. But it's always fascinated me how few bodybuilders are able to translate that discipline. How are you able to take that and apply it to business and other things?
I got to tell you, I'm surprised you're asking this question because no one asked this question, but everything that I've done post bodybuilding goes back to bodybuilding. It's amazing when I tell you everything. In bodybuilding, you'll learn areas you miss out on, which is what? Most people don't do legs. You know, Arnold at the beginning stages of his career, he would take pictures in the water because, he didn't want to show his calves. So he would always do thighs because he had the thighs, but he didn't have the calves. So I'm doing a pose with the minimizing the calves. Then he started doing the donkey raises with Franco Colombo on his back and really got focused about the calves. And he had these massive calves. In business, it could be the same thing. You could be all good on front end, marketing, but your operation sucks. And for me, I was so front end, I was so sales that I wasn't good in operations. And I didn't pay attention to the systems. I didn't pay attention to, we don't need technology. We don't need to look at automation. We don't look at this. We need more marketing. We need to do this. And finally, the conversation got deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where we have to pay attention to them. My wife pulled me in and she brought the board in. She brought everybody and everybody sat there and says, we need to invest in technology. And when we did that, I could scale because now you have a knob. And whenever you have a knob to control and you increase it a little bit when flow's coming in, that's what really helped us grow the business to a different level. So, when I look at bodybuilding and what that did to my life, business-wise, everything went back to small little growth, right? Beating your prior best, and then shocking your business because that's like a new campaign, new initiative. So, same thing with business. So I would say a lot of it applied from that into business for me.
I loved the life of an entrepreneur in 90 seconds. It's basically that. It's how to build yourself brick by brick. You're talking about how you see the flash, you see the cars, the money, the house, but you don't see the times they were freaking out, stressed, anxiety, things were going wrong, and they had to just get better every day. And by doing that day after day after day, they were able to really turn themselves into a beast. And one of my favorite stories about what you're talking about with Arnold and his calves is, so he goes through the phase where at first he's standing in the water and he doesn't let himself be photographed, and then he flips it and he makes a sweatsuit where the only part that's visible are his calves, so that he could never distract himself with something that looked good. And he would walk around the gym with his worst body part exposed so that he'd make sure that he put in the work. And I found that incredibly interesting. What do you think about this notion of made not born? Like, how much of it do you think people like Arnold has terrible calves, but he can really build them? How malleable are we?
Made not born. So for me, I have 3 kids. Okay, now we just had a great conversation about kids, but I have 3 kids myself. So I look at my kids from the day they're born. They are who they are. So parents tend to take a lot of credit for their kids. Like, hey, look at my kid, that's my son. Well, I know how to raise him and I know how to do this. And in a way, it's fine because it's pride, because that's my kid, that's my blood, that's my this. But I don't know if parents can take as much credit or as much blame for the kids. And I know some people may disagree with this and say, wait a minute, what are you saying here? I'm not saying there isn't, but it isn't 80%. I think it's 20%. I think the other 80% is when you're born, there are some elements to you of how you are. My oldest is very quiet. Every picture you see him taking, he's looking at you like he's looking through your soul, like he's trying to figure out what you're thinking. This kid has been like this since day one. The middle one, charmer. Everybody loves this kid. Everybody's like fascinated by this kid because he's so friendly. He'll run around here. He talks to Ricky over there from Boston, and he'll go around making friends with everybody. That's Dylan. That's how Dylan is. And the small one's got a temper, but she's going to get what she wants, and she's very assertive, right? Okay. So I can sit here and say, yeah, that's me because of my parenting stuff. So I think one is the way we're born. That's our DNA. That's one. Two is things that happens in your life. For instance, for me, if I watch if I see a movie scene with a whistling sound, I'm going straight back to Iran. Instant. Right? But if you hear a whistle too, you're going back to a park. I'm not going to a park. I'm going to Iran. I'm going to Iran, going over a bridge. and a bomb drops 50 yards behind us, and my dad says, "Don't look back." I'm in a white Renault. My sister's sitting next to me. My mom is over here. My dad's over here. We're going to a city called Karaj, which is the Palm Springs to LA. We're trying to get away from the war, and I look behind me. The bridge is coming down. I mean, that stays with me till the day I die, because that whistling sound, that's not parents. That's life experiences that causes that. A heartbreak, a breakup, parents getting a divorce, a fight, getting bullied, being knocked out publicly in front of your peers, humiliated, a girl breaks up with you in front of your peers, leaves you for your friend. All of these things then make you because of those experiences. Now, when that happens, it's like a formula. You are going to do one of three things. You know the whole flight, freeze, or fight. You're either going to freeze, and you're going to suppress and keep it internally, and eventually you're going to implode. And when you implode, you're going to hurt a lot of people. Or you're going to flight, and you'll avoid that person every time you're running around them. Oh my gosh, you see, I'm going to go in this room. I'm going to avoid her. I'm going to avoid her. I'm going to avoid her. Or you're going to fight, right? Now you know what freeze happens. Nothing happens. Flight, nothing's happened. But fight, that part is born during those moments. And so you figure that part of what the person's made up of. You can't teach that part to somebody. You can't say, somebody could encourage you, and somebody could say, "Hey, Patrick, stand up for yourself." Yeah, but you could say that to me when people are around, but what if no one's around? Most of the time, no one is around. You have to learn to stand up for yourself. So when you ask the question, born versus made, I don't think it's a one-dimensional answer. I think it's such a multi-dimensional answer that if we get deeper to it, you'll be able to figure people out and say, no wonder this guy became who he is today, because these three different things combined. Wow, this makes a lot of sense to me. So I don't know if that answers your question for you or not, but for me, that's kind of how
it starts to. But I really want to push. So I'm talking to a guy that does valuetainment, who is creating content which is definitely telling you how to live. You wrote a book, The Laws of Doing the Impossible. Your video that popped off and went viral was all about how you can learn, and I'm going to use my words now. It doesn't matter who you are today. It matters who you want to become and the price you're willing to pay to get there. So help me, and maybe there's just another part of this. Help me square your sort of the totality of your DNA and your experiences, and then you completely end up shifting your life. You said the best thing that ever happened to you was hitting rock bottom because it forced you to reevaluate your thinking. So what I want to know is, right now there are people watching us and they are panicking that you're saying that who they are today is just, it's a product of the culmination of their DNA and their experience, and it's a trap basically, and they are who they are. But I don't think you believe that.
I don't think that's what I'm saying.
So what is that next level of malleability? How much can we change?
So what I'm saying is, a part of it is your DNA. We have to understand that. There's a part of it that is your DNA. But
and you'll never be able to break free from that, or you just have to understand it so that you know how to change?
No. For example, if you are somebody that personality, I can't change your personality to be like XYZ. This whole concept about modeling. You got to model somebody. Too much modeling leads to imitation because you're not being you, right? So speaking, some people say, well, Pat, I don't see a lot of people speak like you. You speak differently. I don't know any other way to speak, but I used to try to speak like somebody else that I was trying to model. And I said, no, this is how I speak. This is me. This is my method of delivering my message to you. Makes sense? Great. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But the part about the other side for me is, I also believe firmly that events, conversations, certain individuals can completely say something that can change your life forever.
So what are some of the tools you use? I know that you've talked about clarity is super important. Carrots. Talk to us about those two things, which I think are both pretty powerful.
Yeah, Tom, I would say questions. Like right now, I'm more curious about people that I can't even help myself. I'm asking you questions like, hey, how come you don't have any kids? We don't have any kids. Why don't you have any kids? Well, because, we decided 6 years ago we're not going to have any kids. Well, how did you know that? Well, we got married 17 years ago. We've been together for 20 years. And my wife, so it was a decision, an emotional decision or a logical decision. I think it was a logical decision because it was finding a way to get fulfillment. What you and your wife did is what very few people do. And the whole purpose is sitting down and asking the questions. What if I get asked a question that I don't have the answer to? One of the scariest things about life is a question. The scary question can shake a soul up because no one's asked that question from you. So for me, the transition for somebody to want to change it and get clarity is actually asking questions. if you don't ask the questions of what you want to do next, the world is going to put you in the box on what you have to do next, because they're determining who you need to be. And you are rising up to their expectations because you're not asking the questions yourself. So clarity to me is stemmed from you being able to sit down and ask those tough questions that piss you off, that irritate you, that make you emotional, that you cry over, that you reflect, that makes you want to do research, that makes you follow up, that makes you sit down and say, I don't really know. I've never thought about this before. And that goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So clarity is stamped based on, like the way you answered the question to me, Tom, it was amazing. So do you have any kids? No, we made a decision a long time ago. We didn't want to have kids. The way you said it was like very nonchalant. Really? It was so like, yeah, that's what we did. Then I said, so tell me how you processed it. It's very obvious that was a very comfortable, certain decision with a lot of time put into it. Very few people do that. And then you got clarity, and clarity gives confidence. So somebody looks at your eyes when you give the answer. There is no, looking away or uncomfortable or anything. You're like, this is who we are. This is the decision we made. But that clarity came from all the conversations you and your wife had together. I don't think enough people do that together.
Yeah, no question. One thing in your book that you talked about that I thought was really interesting was you asked the question, to your point about questions, when was the last time you thought about your identity? And you just brought that up. What's that process for people? How do you be, what is the identity, which I think most people give stats. Like, what do you mean by that? And how can people begin to shape their identity?
So Tom, who were you in high school?
What was my identity?
Yeah, so if I was in high school with you, who were you? You were a comedian?
1,000%.
Okay, comedian. And when did it change?
As soon as I went to college. I consciously decided I wanted to become the artist, which was not necessarily the right decision, but that was, when I changed.
And then what happened from artist to quest?
Poverty. And so I start want to be the funny guy because I need attention in high school. By the end of high school, I'm very good at making people laugh in a sort of living room funny way. Mm-hmm. I do countless hours of practice of stand-up comedy. And when I go to college, I'm like, my only style of humor is self-deprecating. So I'm always making fun of myself, which actually makes me think a little bit less of myself. So I very much had an inferiority complex in high school. I cheated my way to being in the top 10 of my graduating class. I did terribly on my SATs. And I come into film school and I'm like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. Like, I actually want to be good at this. And that's one sort of realization I'm grateful for, was I realized at some point you're in the big bad world and you're either good or you're not. Mm-hmm. And so you better stop cheating, really pay attention and get good. And so I thought I need to take myself more seriously, stop making fun of myself. So I didn't tell anybody that I was, a comedic person or anything. I didn't make jokes, nothing. And so I began to adopt the identity of the artist. I have some artistic failures, which creates this identity crisis. I'm very much in the grips of poverty now because I've graduated. My parents aren't helping me anymore. I'm selling insurance door to door.
So what year is this?
This would have been 99.
Wow.
So
20 years ago.
Yeah. So and I'm just like in this. I'm sliding towards depression. I have no sense of how I can make things come true. This is all pre-internet. So like, there's no hope for me. Like the idea to make $100,000 film, which back then there was no YouTube, there was no video cameras you could make movies on. I mean, it just wasn't a thing. So it was like $100,000 film might as well have been $100 million film. So I'm stuck. What am I going to do? And that's when I meet these two entrepreneurs who are like, look, you're coming to the world with your hand out. And if you want to control the art, you have to control the resources. And so that began a very long journey of identity for me, of figuring out who am I? How do I define myself now? And how is that useful? Like understanding that it is completely malleable. I can decide right now that I'm somebody else, that my identity is something new and something different. Like I remember the day I told people I was going to start lifting. And I just said, right now, today I'm lifting, and I told people I'm going to put on muscle, I'm going to look like Hugh Jackman. Everybody's like, yeah, right. And I just went beast mode, and I just started working out all the time. And I realized, whoa, like it's a demarcation line in the sand. Yesterday at this time, I did not have the sense that I'm going to become like Hugh Jackman, that I am a lifter. I am somebody who sticks through with what they say. And now today I'm just going to decide that is me. And so I began telling people it, which gave all this pressure that I had to live up to it. And I began to realize, like, whoa, this is a lever that you can pull, and it drives behavior.
That's amazing. I mean, that pretty much explains the whole thing about identity, right? So I think the first identity we have is whatever identity we're trying to get attention for. You know, when you come out, you're saying your family extremely obese, I think you said. So I don't know, was it a mom and dad stayed together? Was it a healthy family? Was it loving? Was it a crazy environment? Was it a lot of pressure?
No, like it was pretty good, but my parents ended up, so I have this recurring nightmare as a kid and I can't explain it. I'm in a loveless marriage. So imagine me at 14. I've never had a relationship, but I have this recurring nightmare about being in a loveless marriage. Not realizing, of course, my parents were in a loveless marriage, and I just didn't know. And so, on some subconscious level, I was obviously picking up on that. Mad respect to my parents who stayed together until 3 weeks after I left for college, and then they split.
Get out.
No, and I actually respect it like that. I would never do that. I would never repay that because that's so crazy to me to live a life that's less than it could be for your kids. Which is why I don't have children.
Makes sense.
But they did that. I'm very grateful.
Wow. Going back to the identity part, you know, you had a moment that you had to make a decision and you asked some questions and you met a couple people that eventually inspired you to want to make change. And then you went after what you wanted to do. And that day when you said, I'm going to start looking like Hugh Jackman the next day. And one day the decision not that serious. The next day, here's who I'm going to end up being. When I listen to your story, it's all Y2. And we don't spend enough time with Y2. Y2 is linked to identity. How to is systems, learning. It's a skill. It's a skill set. Anybody can pick that up. So identity is you asking the questions until eventually you get to a point that you get to the deeper part of who do you want to be? What life do you want to live? And why do you want to live this life? Why is it important to you? Why is it what you're putting through all these hours? Why would you want to do that? That's transition when you go through it. And then the pressure part, when you said, here's who I'm going to be, where you declare your intentions to the world. This is what I'm going to be doing. A lot of times we keep things a secret. And so there's a debate. Some say you should never declare your intentions to the world because that pressure could create anxiety. You should never do it. You know, like Babe Ruth pointed a finger and I'm going to hit a home run. What if you don't hit it? What if you fail? You know, what if you say, Michael Jordan says the Bulls never win and lose in game 7? You should never say that because there's too much pressure on the players. Or then the other side said, well, you should put the pressure on yourself because your teammates play better because it's not on them, it's on you. And the leader does that. To me, I think declaring the intention serves a purpose. I think when you go out there and you say, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is where I'm going to be at, you officially have the world holding you accountable. That pressure could be good pressure to put into your life. We hear the phrase peer pressure, and we always get the negative connotation with peer pressure. Right? It's like, hey, don't do drugs because of peer pressure. You know, say no to drugs, peer pressure. Go to school, peer pressure, peer pressure. Where, I mean, it all depends who the peer is that's giving you pressure. Because if you got the right peer giving the right kind of pressure, you can do some big things in your life. So I think that additional kind of peer pressure you put into yourself, you're in the right circles, right environments, those two guys that, you know, put some kind of a peer pressure or direction into you can really be a spark to change someone's life where all of a sudden the identity goes from being a regular person to the next day, no one recognizes them. In the world of social media, of influencers, there's some that'll say things like, listen, you have a lot of time. Take your time. You're okay. You're going to be all right. You're going to be fine. You have a lot of time. And that's fine. That can work for some audiences. And sometimes you wonder if it's almost like a strategy so other people don't catch up to you because they think they're like, honestly, you sit there and say, is this guy really that dark that he's trying to get everybody else to slow down? So he kind of, you know, works his ass up. Well, hey, everybody else, you slow down. It's okay. Where for me on the other side is, listen, this never lies. This lies. When I look at my hand this way, I'm 25 years old. When I look at my hand this way, I'm 40 years old. We look at our hands too often this way. I like to look at my hands like this. This doesn't lie. This is a 40-year-old wrinkles. This is 40, okay? I can't lie about that.
Can't lie about that shit.
Now, I can look at this and say, no, I'm a lot young. I got a lot of time. We don't. So, for me, I would sit there. One of my biggest drivers was, you're at your dad's funeral. This sounds crazy to some people, but I have visualized, it's going to be the first time my dad's ever going to hear this, because I've never said this to him, because, you know, I just don't want to tell him this kind of stuff. I don't want him to think about it. Like, I don't want him to say, hey, can't believe you said this. I have visualized my dad's funeral 50,000 times. And when I visualize it, I'm like, okay, you're speaking. What are you saying? You know, you're the closing speaker. What are you going to say? You okay with it? Are you okay with who's going to be there? Are you okay if he dies at this age? Your kids never met him. They don't have a relationship with grandpa like you don't. For you, it matters. Because of Bet David last name, you're the only person that can continue this Bet David last name. All the other guys didn't have kids. You have to continue this generation. There's a legacy. The Syrian community is a small community. We're endangered species. It's not like there's millions of us. It's a very small community of Syria. We lost our country. So I go there and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not how it's going to be. Here's how it's going to be. He's going to live this. This is what's going to take place. So when that day comes, I'm not going to have any regrets because I want to be good. That visualization of going there creates so much urgency for me that makes me move. Too often, this whole gift that we have, like we're not putting that gift of imagination and visualization in place. And so either we waste it and we just go into la la land. Oh my gosh, what if I have a big house? What if my, zip code is Beverly Hills? What if I have this big house? And what if I could put the big parties? What if I date these hot girls? What if I date the best looking guy? What if I have this? What if I have that? That's fine, but that's not deep enough. You got to go really deep. Really deep with purpose and really deep with if you don't move, what could take place. So again, going back to it for me is for people to sit there and realize if you really want to move yourself, ask the questions, go deeper on what life could happen, both good and bad. Don't just say, oh, all good or all bad. Tap into both of them. And hopefully that creates urgency for you to start taking the next necessary steps to grow your business. But the gift of imagination and visualization is rarely used properly.
It's interesting that you say that. So the 19-year-old version of myself, I was actually asked, what's your ideal woman? And I described her just like you were talking about height. I said she's going to speak a foreign language, but she needs to speak English perfectly to get my humor. But I find accents so sexy, and I think it's so cool when somebody can speak a second language, which was always a fantasy of mine. Said she'll be short, she'll either be able to draw or sing, and she's going to be like ethnic somehow. Because growing up in Tacoma, dude, it was white people 24/7. And so it was like just finding somebody that was like a little bit different was very intoxicating. So of course I end up marrying a Greek girl, but she grew up in England, so she speaks Greek, but English perfectly, and she can draw. She's a world-class artist. So I was like, wow, this is so crazy. When you really have clarity about what you want and it comes across your path and you're paying attention, then it's like all of a sudden, hey, I'm gravitating towards this. This is, something that's interesting to me. But one thing that I think really became powerful for Lisa and I is something that you talk a lot about, which is you've got to shut out the noise of what other people think, and you've got to be willing to really be yourself, know what you're thinking about. Why is that powerful? Why do we need to, excluding some of the right people, why do we need to stop caring about what other people think?
Because life goes by wasted when you do that. I remember when my parents got a divorce. So my mother's side, they're Armenian, and my dad's side, they're Assyrian. Okay, so if I
gotta ship out this box, man.
go to the Armenian side and I would hang out with them, they were on their way to getting a divorce. The Armenian side would say, he's a Bet David, he's Assyrian, and they would pin me against them. And if I went on the Assyrian side, they would say, oh, he's Armenian, look at him, he's Bad Armani, which Bad Armani means terrible Armenian is what it meant. I mean, these things that they had, Armenians and Assyrians, they have a big debate on who's the first Christian, Armenians or Assyrians. Why was that an important situation for me as a kid? Because everybody indirectly will impose their belief system into you. And it's never going to stop. This whole thing about people say, oh my gosh, I can't wait to win to shut up all my haters. Reality check. It ain't never happening. Okay? It ain't never happening, because every time you come up, it's just more of them, right? And they're always, the great thing about haters is I always talk about the fact that my best consultants are my haters. Best. Because it almost makes no sense to be a hater. Let me explain to you why. Because haters highlight your weaknesses. And if you're smart, you're like, he makes a good point. I do have bad calves. I better start working on my calves. Thank you for that feedback. Now I kick your ass because you pointed out my weakness. What a great consultant. We don't need a consulting firm. We just need to hire new haters. Looking for haters, right? Come on, more haters. Please send me some more hate so I can see my flaws, my weaknesses. But the whole idea about that is, hey, one day I'm going to make so much money, I'm going to shut everybody up. That doesn't work. First of all, that's not going to take place. The more you move up, the most hated man in the world today is the President of the United States.
States. And prior to him, the most hated man in the world was the President of the United States prior to him, which was Barack Obama. One's a Democrat, one's a Republican. It's irrelevant. That part's not going away. So the voice is never going to be left. So you have a choice. Either you can say, I don't want to deal with the voice, live a small life, no problem, it's okay, as long as you're happy with it, you're content, you're aligned with your values and principles, more power to you. But if you can't live a small life and you have to live a big life, you have to understand that it's going to be pushed, and you have to figure out a way to silence everybody. Every time somebody gets married for the first time, and if they ask the question, I never impose, but if they ask the question and say, so what feedback would you give us that we're just getting married? First of all, everyone's going to tell you when you guys are going to have kids. It's number one. When you're going to get pregnant. I said, my suggestion to you is tell everybody up front, you don't have any plans of having kids for 10 years. Okay? But if you do, you do. But if you tell them you're going to have kids, everyone's going to tell you what? How come you're not pregnant yet? Does this thing not work? Does your thing not work? What is going on? I bet she's sick. I always knew she had that limp. Maybe it's because of the way he walks. It's the list. I knew what was going to happen with his family. And then you're overthinking, right? Shut everybody up right up front. Tell everybody to manage expectations. Anticipation is gain. The day before I got married, I sat my parents down. They hadn't been in the same room for 20 years. 20 years they hadn't been in the same room. And if they were in the same room together, a German would have been resurrected to start World War III. I mean, they could not be in the same room together. But I brought them to my house. They said, oh, we're coming to your wedding. I said, no, you're not. Of course we're coming to your wedding. I said, who told you to come to your wedding? Did I send you an invitation? I didn't send you an invite. You are invited to my house, both of you together. We're not coming to your house. You're not coming to the wedding. So what is wrong with you? We're your parents. So I said, listen, I'm just telling you, it's very simple. You come to my house, that is your ticket to the wedding. Because you are not going to create this escapade at my wedding the first time you see each other after 20 years, you're around all this other stuff. So they came to my house.
I'm going to go run some errands, all right? I got to go drop this off at the post office. Go make a deposit. Go make a deposit in the bank. City, if they're still open. My card still works. And then get the cluck back. Eat dinner. Send out more text. Keep growing the business. Keep growing the business. Keep growing the business. Keep growing the business, man. Come on, lock in. Look, if you ever thought about being a reseller, it's more than possible today than ever before. If you have contacts in your phone on Facebook, social media, Instagram, wherever, Snapchat, you could be selling some and getting some money on. So you know what it is, man. Subscribe, tune in on the channel, and let's keep rocking, man. Let's keep growing our business, and let's keep elevating our game. We're only a couple right moves away from making some millions, man. Get the system set up and run the system, man. Run the play. Tap